The following is the procedure for public comment and participation. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Those wishing to speak on quasi-judicial public hearings must complete a sign-up card and sign the oath. Sign-up and oath cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and requests from the public present. This opportunity is offered twice in the meeting, and individuals may speak at either the first or second petitions, but not both. No sign-up card is required. Citizens shall not comment on any issue more than once during the meeting. All comments except petitions and requests must address the pending issue, and citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on agenda items. Next, citizens wishing to speak on the consent agenda must submit a sign-up card identifying the items of interest. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes to speak on the entire consent agenda. And finally, all sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the City Council shall be placed in the box on the table.
The purpose of the City Council meeting is to discuss city business, and proper decorum must be displayed by all in attendance. Public input and participation is encouraged. However, all persons in attendance shall comply with the rules for meeting procedures and shall refrain from any action that disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meeting or hinders a council from performing its duties. No person shall interfere with the rights of others to speak, hear, see, or attend the proceedings, make threats of violence, disrupt the proceedings with shouting, fail to confine remarks to the agenda item under consideration, nor continue to speak after the allotted speaking time has expired, as these actions shall be considered disruptive and disorderly. The mayor shall caution any person who violates these provisions and disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meetings, and they shall be directed to comply. Any person who fails to comply, as cautioned, shall be ruled out of order, shall forfeit the remainder of their speaking time on the agenda item under consideration, and will be requested to return to their seat. Persons who fail to comply as directed shall be subject to removal from the council chambers by law enforcement or such other actions as may be reasonably necessary to enforce these regulations. Notwithstanding, the mayor may order the immediate removal of any person from the chambers who possesses a threat to property or life safety. Nothing in this section shall be construed to limit or restrict a person's right created by the Constitution, law, ordinance, or regulation.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Titusville City Council regular meeting, January 29th, 2026 at 6:30. I'll call this meeting to order. For the invocation, we will hold a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Before we go into our first item this evening, which will be boards and commissions, so I apologize to those folks who are waiting for that item. Some allegations came to light at our city not too long ago of misappropriating of city funds and equipment. Let me be very blunt. I speak for city council, or this is something we will not tolerate. I want to commend our city manager City Manager Tom Abate for taking swift action and initiating an investigation, figuring out what went wrong, and now all that information is with the state attorney's office, so that we can hopefully recover what was lost. In the meantime, our job as council members, as a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, and to ensure things like this do not happen again. And I want to bring council's attention to a discussion we had in September of last year when I brought up that the internal auditor is listed under the powers of council to appoint that person. That person should report to council. And I'm going to explain why. On top of it already being in our charter, and that we should follow our charter as it is laid out, this individual was identified in other internal auditor reports in dating back to 2010, having irregularities. Now, I think if that information would have been presented to council, different action might have been taken to prevent loss. So while we can't undo what was done in the past, we can only fix what we can going forward. And so I'm asking on council to make that change where the internal auditor reports directly to council. We can work out the details, but that is something that needs to happen so that any irregularity will be reported to council and the public be made aware. There's also some other things that might need to be fine-tuned along the way, like the limits on P-card spending. And I don't think council was made aware of the increase in P-card limits from 1,000 to 5,000 a couple of years ago. So that needs to be addressed. And I want the public to know that we take this seriously and that we are going to address it. Member Moscoso.
Thank you. I agree 100%. I would love for our internal auditor to report directly to council. There are even more things that I have concerns about. And I do think, Tom, you've handled some things well, but there are some things that I feel like, I know we don't oversee employees, but there are things that I have concerns about that need to be looked into. And I know I have asked you to look into those things. And so I want to make sure that when people give us information, that we are actually researching it and doing our due diligence. So I want to thank the mayor for bringing this up, and I support this initiative.
Member Nelson.
I agree. However, I would like to give Tom the opportunity to put it on our agenda, to come up with suggestions, recommendations to us, and then let us discuss them.
I do not debate that. Like I said, it's something we need to work out the details, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there and put everybody
I
on
just-
notice that this, needs to be explored.
I just don't want to go forward without finding out all the information, finding out what steps we can take to correct the problems, and where we can all discuss it.
Absolutely. And another recommendation, other than looking at adjusting P-card limits and having a little bit more policy control in that regards from our seat, but also an asset manager to track and maintain all the assets that we have in the city so that they don't mysteriously wander away. Vice Mayor.
Every organization I've ever been a part of, from the military to a university, being on the hospital board, the internal audit always reports up. So I definitely agree with that, that the auditor needs to report their findings to City Council.
Any further discussion, Member Stokel?
No, I was just going to say, I agree. At the end of the day, responsibility comes on us. We're elected by the people, so I think we need to do everything we can to make sure that things are done appropriately and right. So I would be in favor of this.
All right. Did y'all want to make a motion to have?
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion that the internal auditor of the city of Titusville, when the audit has been completed, will report the findings to City Council.
Would you take a friendly amendment
Yes.
that we put it on the agenda along with whatever other recommendations maybe Mr. Abadi comes up with, to allow us a little more oversight on things that are going on?
Okay, so can you withdraw your motion, because it seems like everybody's lights are lighting up, and I want to make sure we have clear
I'll
discussion.
withdraw it.
All right. Member Moscoso, did you have something to add?
I was going to add a friendly amendment that if there were
There's a lot of friendly amendments
anything that was not, that would do a red flag, that we would be noticed, we would get noticed before, but it sounds like we're going in a different direction. But I do agree with Member Nelson. We have had the discussion that we're not going to do motions. And so I kind of want to stick to that, even though I love this motion.
So the motion, I think, that needs to be made is that we put an agenda item for the next meeting about the internal audit and reporting and discussion, and hopefully our internal auditor will indulge us in having this conversation open for the public with her recommendations of different safeguards that we can put in place to help protect our taxpayers. Member Sokol.
Yeah, I think that's what I was getting at. To me, it seems like it's an advisability, so we will properly notice it. But I think given the time sensitivity of this occurring and all of us, not being able to talk to each other, I think that it's our responsibility to try to say that we're going to try to do what we can. And it sounds like we already have something in our charter that we should probably be doing this already.
Yeah, the motion is to follow the charter, but in the essence of, making sure it's properly noticed, can I have a motion from council to have an agenda item for internal audit for Amelia, or the internal auditor, to come before us and have a discussion? Is that a fair?
Yes.
So moved.
And so, yes, thank you.
We have a card.
I understand. I'm just waiting to clarify the motion so that everybody's on the same page. So, City Clerk, are you clear on the motion?
Yes.
All right, and I got a second. I'm assuming it's Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Connors, I'm very pleased that you brought this up, and I'm for the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Because this wasn't an advertised agenda item, anybody that would like to speak on this motion may come up to the podium at this time. I'm not seeing any. Okay.
Yeah, I will. So apparently there is some corruption in Titusville. And this goes back to 2010 at least. It's my understanding that this has to do with the water department. So wasn't there a water director in charge then that quit and now still works with the city through ACOM? Anybody?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. City Manager, show's yours.
Sir, we have one housekeeping item before we begin the agenda, and that is for item number 9C, which is the small-scale amendment application number 5-2025 Sunset Development, 125 Precision Way with annexation. And the applicant has withdrawn this item and will be rescheduled potentially at a different date in the future. But at the request of the applicant, the item has been withdrawn.
Thank you, City Manager. Any other issues with the agenda? Member Nelson?
So at this point, we don't have a new date for 9C?
The applicant has not reapplied yet.
Okay.
Any other issues with the agenda?
No, sir.
City Manager?
The next item is boards and commission, the Historic Preservation Board, and we have a presentation by Ms. Tony Schiflo on historic preservation.
Last week, Brad Parrish sent an email to me and the TEC rep presenting tonight. The mayor will limit the semi-annual presentations to 5 minutes at the City Council's meeting on Thursday, January 29. I have served on the HPB since November 2019, and I've delivered many a semi-annual report to council because, one, the agendas are often over 900 pages long, and I don't think they're read entirely. I believe a board member should always deliver the reports in person at council meetings to inform the public who may not and probably do not access the agenda packets. A public recital of the advisory board's accomplishments reinforces their value to citizens. A public recital of accomplishments and plans for the future are important for the board to hear, especially since you probably do not read the printed report, and giving the report orally allows for augmentation and explanation. There has never been a time limit on board reports. Therefore, I find this directive from the mayor to be highly offensive to me personally, unusual in its arbitrary restriction, and an insult to advisory boards. A suggestion from the mayor would have been appropriate after consultation. This dictatorial direction is unacceptable. And since the historic preservation report is 3.5 minutes long, you read it in your packet, and I'm going to expand upon some details of the highlights. Studying the effects on local governments of Senate Bill 582, which strengthens protections for historic resources and provides enhanced deterrence against unauthorized demolition, we recommend that the city adopt an amendment to the Historic Preservation Ordinance to expand board review authority over demolition requests for structures attaining historic age. This review would be of older buildings with some historic significance beyond age, and while maybe delaying the destruction a short time, would request and allow documentation and negotiation for any salvageable, reusable historic architectural features before demolition. Adoption of this update would reinforce local control, improve regularity, clarity, and support a more proactive and effective historic preservation framework within the city. Our current project is mid-century modern, and the space industry come to Titusville. Oh, wow. The idea is to ignite interest in the preservation of historic housing stock in Titusville. Numerous towns have successfully leveraged their mid-century modern architecture to drive tourism, economic growth, and community revitalization. Palm Springs, California, Columbus, Ohio, Denver, Colorado, Silver Springs, Maryland, for example. A growing appreciation for older homes will allay the need for ever-expanding new housing development, necessitating the loss of natural environment through urban sprawl. An appreciation for a particular architectural aesthetic can unite individuals in their common interest. Oh, well, and maybe coalesce into some sort of active community. Our project hopes to encourage the cultural identity associated with this architectural period by joining stories of the people of the space industry who came to Titusville for it and designed and lived in these homes in mid-century modern period of 1945 to 1975. Education and awareness highlighting Titusville's place in the space industry enhances real estate values. Well-designed mid-century modern homes have shown to command a premium of 15 to 20% over similar, more traditional homes. It attracts tourism. Preserving unique architectural styles can draw heritage tourism. And the Historic Preservation Board has collected data on numerous mid-century modern residences and commercial buildings around town. We have some great ones. And we plan to feature this style of historic era at our annual public preservation workshop in May and through our recently initiated Recognition Without Designation Awards. I want to thank you for your indulgence in letting us make reports orally. I wish I had enough pictures to show you these wonderful mid-century modern structures we have around town, both commercial and residential. And I hope that you're as excited about this project as I am. I have found the golden nugget. I'm sorry, Mayor, I was going to stop at 5 minutes. I'm going to sit down. But I found the person who went into the space industry and lived in a mid-century modern home that her father built. By golly, I've got the golden nugget already.
And you're welcome for helping to find her, Miss Tony. All right, City Manager.
Yes, sir. The next item is 6B, the Planning and Zoning Commission semi-annual written report is included in the agenda packet, and no action is requested.
Thank you, City Manager.
Next item is 6C, the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the recommended action is to appoint 5 regular members and 1 alternate member to the Planning and Zoning Commission with terms to expire on January 31st, 2028. And the term of 5 regular members, Theodore Garrard, Christopher Childs, Janae Jellin, Romy Grant, and Aaron Faison, and one alternate member, James Troutman, expire on January 31st, 2026. At this time, I'd like to make one correction to that. Due to a clerical error, Mr. Aaron Faison was not reappointed last year. So what we'd like to do as a minimum action from council is to request that he be reappointed, if you so desire, to a term to expire January 31st, 2027. That was just a clerical error, an oversight from last year. Because normally, on even years, you would do 4 regular members, and odd years, 3 regular members, because there's a 7-member panel.
Thank you, City Manager. City Clerk?
We have one card, Stan Johnston.
I think I'm listed as a candidate. And I'm here to talk about something that is horribly happening in the city, and that is sustainability. And we have water coming into the city. We have water blocked that goes to St. John's River, and there's 6 huge culverts under I-95 from Fox Lake Road to State Road 50. You've heard this before. And 4 of them are blocked. One of them is a 7-foot by 3-foot box culvert. So our design for what we're doing and maintaining of positive outfalls is nil, is nothing in those areas, nothing. So there's no way any engineer can calculate what's going to happen in our flood zones that those drain to there. You can't calculate it. So you have legal positive, unmaintained positive outfalls. It doesn't work. So whatever you do to me is that I'm reporting this to FEMA, hoping that they'll take some action against the city, because it's not right. It's not right. And it's been happening for how many years? 59 years. And it's not on the budget. So in other words, what the city has been doing is filing false reports on sustainability. And I've even taken it to our Human Resources Director, Joe De Niro, and we've had an admission of guilt on people who have participated in this false reporting. This is affecting planning and zoning. This is affecting our budgeting, our future budgeting, and so forth, in the millions of dollars. It's bad. It's really bad. And I can't get records from all the numerous flood zones that were created in 1989. I've requested them repeatedly. I can't get them from the city because they can't find them, and they won't revive them from FEMA. That's not right. We've had flooding, and I know you all had a fun time going to Tallahassee, but there's numerous areas in the city of Titusville. Houses have been flooded, and it's a catastrophe that you're not addressing. But we did have a meeting on the 22nd. Thank you, Ms. Moscoso. And we had some discussion on that, and thank you, Kevin Cook and Sandra Eller, and some other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. City Clerk, is there another card?
Chris Childs.
I have to do a card before. I don't know. I'm not used to it. I think the last time they just called people up. But Mayor, council members, my name is Christopher Childs. I'm currently the vice chairman of the commission, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm here to ask for your reappointment of me to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I wanted to do so directly, respectfully, and honestly. I understand that I am sometimes a public critic of the city decisions and at times individual council members. I want to be very clear about this. My criticism has never been personal, never disrespectful, never tied to my role on the commission. It comes from my belief that an engaged, informed, and outspoken public makes our city stronger. I show up prepared. I engage thoughtfully with staff. I ask hard questions when appropriate. And when the commission reaches a decision, I respect the process and move forward. This evening, there are 5 positions up for reappointment. For the current commission, I asked to continue serving, including myself. I believe continuity, my gosh, and experience matter, especially on a board that deals with long-term planning, land use, and policy consistency. I also want to acknowledge how difficult it has become to recruit volunteers for boards and commissions. These are unpaid roles that require time, preparation, and sometimes public scrutiny. This stuff. When people are willing to step forward, learn, and serve in good faith, I believe it is important to value that commitment and provide stability whenever possible. Ultimately, my request to you is simple. Judge me by my performance on the Planning and Zoning Commission, not by whether I sometimes challenge you as a citizen. Healthy disagreement is not disloyalty, it is participation. I appreciate that many of you support the idea that commissioners can serve honorably while still exercising their right to speak, question, and advocate for what they believe is best for the city. That balance matters, not just for me, but for anyone willing to step forward and serve. I respectfully ask for your reappointment and the opportunity to continue contributing my time, experience, and commitment to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a question for him, or do you want me to?
No, I just had a comment.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want.
Well, I was calling the cards first. You know, sometimes applicants put cards in, so I figured I'd get to them. And then if there are no more cards, right, City Clerk? Okay, I'm gonna see if the other members are here that are on the list. So is Mr. Gerard here? Not seeing any hands go up. Chris already spoke. Ms. Janae, did you want to come up and speak? No. Is Mr. Aaron here? Not seeing him. Mr. James?
I'll come up and say a few words for sure. James Troutman, 1705 Barnett Avenue. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is James Troutman. I am currently serve as an alternate member on the Titusville Planning and Zoning Commission. As a resident here for over 2 years, I'm deeply invested in our community's future and preserving what makes Titusville unique, our gateway to nature and space. Professionally, I work as a non-destructive examination NDE inspector at Blue Origin with extensive experience in quality assurance. My role involves ensuring precision, strict compliance with standards, and detailed evaluations to identify potential issues early. These skills directly apply to planning and zoning, thoroughly reviewing plans, upholding regulations, and promoting balanced, high-quality development that benefits everyone. A regular member position is available, and I would respectfully request appointing to that role for greater involvement. If not selected, I ask to renew my alternate member, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Troutman. And Mr. Johnson already had an opportunity. So with that, Member Nelson.
Okay. We have some very qualified applicants, but we don't have a lot. And my thought was, can we table this for a month and see if we get some more applicants? I just hate to have so few applicants.
Thank you, Member Nelson. And I think you were done, right? All right, sorry. That was kind of my shock a little bit too, because I did not know this was coming up on the agenda. I did ask our staff, how did we advertise it? I think the last time we, punted for a month, I think the TEC, that was the board in consideration. And then we came back and we had 12 applicants for 5 spots. Mm-hmm. And in fact, one of the new ones is sitting right here and he's giving the presentation tonight. So, I think competition is always a good thing. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that there's an opportunity to get involved. Member Moscoso.
Yeah, I would say I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I served with Member Gerard. I served with Member Childs and Member Faison. I didn't get the opportunity to serve with Janae or Mr. Trotman, but I can tell you, even now, I go back and watch those meetings, and I think we have a great team. What concerns me is we had the appointments for the hospital board, and one of the things that was told to us is we need to thank those who are already serving, that it's really hard. I think Vice Mayor Herman Cole, you said that it's really, really hard to get people. And so let's just appoint those people. So I don't know if we can do one for one board and one for the other. So I personally would like to reappoint everyone who's on there. I think it does take a lot of work to understand a lot of the zoning stuff. And I know that the people we have on that board are very committed.
Thank you, Member Moscoso. Member Stokel?
Yes. Yeah, during my briefing, when I saw this and I saw 5, my briefing might have been first, but I was like, why are there 5? And I think that's when we discovered that there was one that we didn't, because I was like, I've never had 5. And then I think I was shocked that we had that many up at this time, primarily because I have had people that were interested in applying. And so I did talk to the clerk's office and see, and then I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but on the website, and I did get this from the clerk's office, we do post 6 months in advance. And so that's when I can see now the only other thing besides planning and zoning, in May, we have some Titusville Housing Authority, 1 member up. And so that's the only other one. And so my request was going to be to, in addition to the website, if we could be notified at a council meeting, maybe 2 months prior, that, you know, this is going to be up. I think that will help us, because that was my concern. There's a member that's watching, or a community member right now, that said that they're interested, they wanted to see what would happen. And so I would be in favor of tabling it. I do think our members have done a great job, but it would be nice to give some citizens another opportunity to potentially apply, especially since I know there's one that's interested.
Thank you, Member Stokel. And, you know, in this day and age of social media, I was just, you know, probably should be posted on social media, you know, not just on the website. It's like sometimes putting a billboard in the middle of the desert. If you don't go to it, you're not going to see it. So we got to be a little bit more proactive in getting that information out to the community. Member Moscoso.
Yeah, I just want to remember this conversation. So next time another board comes up and there are the exact amount of applicants, you guys will be willing to table it so that I can go out and find my own applicants to apply. So just please remember that. That being said, I would like to make a motion. I know you're smiling. I probably won't get a second, so I'm going to let you just watch me stumble through this. I would like to appoint our 5 regular members as Mr. Garrard, Mr. Childs, Ms. Gellin, Mr. Faison, with his term ending in 2027, and then the alternate member, Mr. Trotman, as a regular member, with the term to expire on January 31st, 2026.
There's a motion by Member Moscoso. Is there a second? Seeing none, the motion fails. Member Nelson.
And I just want to point this out. That was the only time we did not table it, because most of the time, other occasions we have, other times we have tabled the motion or the appointment of people to committees. That was the only time we have not.
All right.
That we went ahead.
I don't want to get into a back and forth. Everybody's made their opinions known.
So-
Is there another motion?
Motion to table this to the first meeting in March.
City Manager, do you have something to chime in on?
That would be to extend the current board members until that meeting, and then reappoint those candidates that are on the slate at that time.
Correct.
I'd second.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to re-advertise, keep the folks that are on the board now until the first meeting in March. City Clerk.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we needed to go ahead and reappoint Faison.
Would be
Mr.
to
Faison?
to reappoint him to the term expiring January 31st, 2027. So we're back on the 4 and 3 cycle,
Okay.
I can
if
include
council so
that
desires.
in my motion.
My second will still stand because I did want to clean that up. So
Yeah.
my second stands.
All right, so the motion is to table 4 of the members and the 1 alternate member to the first meeting in March while they continue to serve. And city staff actively look for additional applicants, and to reappoint Aaron Faison to clean up a clerk error.
Like, are we making that all one motion, the reappointment of Aaron Faison and the
That's what-
tabling? Those
that's
sound
what-
like two different
That's what
motions.
they added. So I was just clarifying because she amended her motion and she seconded. So that was the motion made. City Attorney, do you have an issue with the motion being made?
I think it would be cleaner if we did two separate motions at
All right,
this
that's
time.
fine with me. I'm just following the will of the motioner and the seconder.
Okay.
Making sure everybody's on the same page.
Back to tabling this until the first meeting in March and allowing the current board members to continue until then.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
No.
All right, motion carries. Member Nelson?
Next motion would be to appoint Aaron Faison to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire. Tom, you have to remind me.
January 31, 27.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? City Manager, did you have something to add? Okay, just making sure. Well, you had your light on. I was seeing if you had something to
Oh,
add.
no,
You just turned it off. Okay. All right, City Clerk?
Wait, I have a discussion.
Yes.
How many other people have applied for this? Are we also going to table this one? In fairness?
This one would have been voted on a year ago, so we're trying to
I
clean
get
up where
that,
it
but
is.
then we're voting on it now and we're saying we need new applicants for the other ones.
I think what we're getting at is this more than likely would have been approved a year ago.
How do we know if we don't have the applicants?
If I may interject, he has been serving on the board for the past year because he was reappointed. It's just that there was a clerical error that
No,
terminates
I
his-
understand.
So the advice would be to reappoint him at this point in time, as far as from a legal perspective.
All right, any further discussion? City Clerk?
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Motion carries. Thank you very much. City Manager?
Yes, sir. Next item is the Titusville Environmental Commission, and Mr. James Miller will present the semi-annual report.
It's Jason, but no worries. Well, good. It's still a J, yeah. John, Jason, whatever. Well, good evening, council, and everyone else that's here. I am fairly new to the Environmental Commission, as you guys know, but I was honored to get picked to present tonight's semi-annual report. So you all have it in your packets, and our city staff representative, Lily, did a great job, I think, of putting together a very concise report. So I'm just going to hit a few highlights on it. I did want to point out that we have 3 new members on the board. That's myself. Kevin Rosa was appointed as an alternate at the same time I was, and then John Nico was also appointed to the board. The second thing that we've done a lot of work on, and I do say we, even though I wasn't necessarily on the board for some of this, but the thing that we've done a lot of work on is the trees and urban forestry efforts, including some main recommendations for a urban forester salary, software to be used, and priority canopy tree planting. That was forwarded to council. I do want to point out that this, as well as a couple of the other items, are still waiting to see what happens with the previous Senate Bill 180. And how that plays out with the courts. And also, I did see today that Senate Bill 840 has been put up to hopefully clarify some of the issues in 180 that are hindering efforts. We also, on that note, recommended explicitly adding condominiums to multifamily ordinance requirements. So the other thing, also pending results of challenges to Senate Bill 180 is we received an updated ordinance for parks and open spaces, and that ordinance was recommended unanimously from the commission with no changes. Public concerns and emerging issues. Some of these are going to be very familiar to y'all because it's a lot of things that get brought up here, but I thought it was relevant to say that they get brought up to our commission as well. The big ones, sewage spills, stormwater signage, and the gas station tank leaks. A lot of these things I feel like are being addressed at the city, but could definitely benefit from improved communications to the public. And then also requests for stronger enforcement against clear cutting. We received very positive reports in the last 6 months regarding tree planting efforts, which was talked about earlier, seagrass recovery in the lagoon, and other Indian River Lagoon initiatives. We just had the Sarah Indian Lagoon public comment here a few weeks ago, which was very positive. The recoveries that our lagoon is making are fantastic, and I think we should be very proud of that. We also, a couple months ago, several members of the commission, along with city staff, attended the Low Impact Development Conference presented by the Marine Resources Council. And I would just like to tout that again, Lily made a really great presentation at that conference. And I think it's important for people to understand that Titusville is really leading the way in low impact development. And a lot of other municipalities around the state are copying a lot of what Titusville has done for low impact development. I thought that was really cool to hear about. And again, another good thing for public communications. We did want to thank the council for allowing us to have a second monthly meeting for the next few months to specifically work on my final point, which is wetland conservation. We are spending a lot of time and really digging deep into the comprehensive plan regarding conserving wetlands. It's a big, big topic. This is very important for our recent flooding issues. If we sacrifice our wetlands, then we are reducing that stormwater loading ability. And so one of the big things that we have been discussing and looking to make sure we protect through the comprehensive plan is that we are evaluating connective systems of wetlands altogether and not stopping at property lines. So if part of a wetland is on one property, it extends to another property, make sure we are counting that entire area of wetlands, not just what is on that one property. So again, I thank you very much for the ability to serve on this commission and present this tonight. And I'm glad some of my fellow commissioners are here tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. City Manager?
So the next item is the Titusville Flag and Memorial Committee. And the recommended action is to the Titusville Flag and Memorial Committee annual report will be presented. In addition, staff is requesting council affirm the appointment of members and election of officers as written in the annual report, and that is a ministerial duty of council.
Is there any cards on this item? Is there anybody here from the Flag and Memorial Committee to speak? Alrighty. While I inherently don't have a problem with their election of officers, there's definitely some typos in the report, things that need to be updated. Looks like they copied and pasted last year's onto this year's. They thanked City Manager Scott Larice. So, we need to update, make sure we get an updated copy.
Yes, sir.
I think would be good. But council?
I'd move to affirm the appointment of members and officers as written in the annual report.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Cole,
Yes.
Member Stokel,
Yes.
Member Moscoso,
Yes.
Member Nelson, Mayor Connors.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much. City Manager?
Sir, the last item under boards and commissions is the Titusville Social Services Ad Hoc Committee. And the recommended action is to appoint members to the Titusville Social Service Ad Hoc Committee. And back on September 23rd, 2025, City Council approved the guidelines and application to establish a Titusville Social Services Ad Hoc Committee and authorized staff to open the application cycle. And Ms. Terry Franklin from Neighborhood Services is here to elaborate on that item.
Good evening. So we received applications from applicants to be appointed for consideration to the committee. We did have a application received yesterday that is in addition to the ones you see in your packet. You should have received a handout for those. If you have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Franklin. City Clerk, how many cards do you have? All right. I don't think that gets to all of our applicants, but we'll just start checking them off. If you are an applicant and didn't put a card in, after we go through the cards, I'll call you on up. First card, City Clerk.
Tony Schiffalo. Tony Schiffalo.
I know, but I'm calling the cards first. I'm saying if you are an applicant, I'll call you up after the cards. If you didn't put a card in.
Tony Schiffalo, the historic Norwood House in this community. And I just wanted to speak that the committee could only have 7 people on board, and there were 10 applicants, and maybe a couple that didn't even get processed correctly. But I wanted to say that I think it's very important. 5 of the people out of the 10 are residents of that area, and only 3 are required to be. But I would suggest that we eliminate 3 applicants. You're going to have to. And I would say that Gina Beckles, who was invited to apply by the mayor, and I don't bring my glasses, but Monifa Watson, who is the executive director of North Brevard Charities, but she lives in Port St. John, and she could attend the meetings like I intend to without being on the board. So I would say that from the 10 applicants, that the 5 from the community, Brooks, Dennison, Watson, Zador, and Pender, and then Christina Stokes would be, oh, thank you. Christina Stokes is the young woman who speaks so eloquently at council and represents the community and the youth in the community that's in question so eloquently and adequately. She would be my recommendation. And Nancy Oliver, she's an ordained minister, and Lord knows we could use some grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schiffalo. City Clerk.
Erica Davis.
Good evening. Good evening, Council. My name is Erica Davis, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am applying for a seat on the Social Services Ad Hoc Committee for the City of Titusville. Advocating for my community both has been a foundation of not only my career, but my personal life. I'm the proud mother of 3 girls. One's 26, 24, and 6 years old. I live here locally, in fact, in front of the Harry T. Moore Center in Titusville, where I work. Not only work in Titusville, I've raised my family here. Public service runs deep in my family and in my household. My oldest daughter works for the Department of Children and Families. My middle daughter was not only awarded the key to the city by the previous mayor, and a day was named in her honor, but she just graduated from FSU, where she's lobbying in Tallahassee, still fighting for laws and stuff for our community locally. My youngest daughter is currently roaming the halls of Apollo, where she's just doing science. Professionally, I've worked for the justice system, worked for the clerk of courts. I've worked for the victim witness state attorney's office, where I've supported individual families during their most critical and traumatic times in their lives. I've also volunteered as a rape counselor. When things need to be reinforced, I've shown empathy, confidentiality, and strong support services in those jobs. For more than 10 years, I've worked for North Brevard Children's Medical, where I have firsthand knowledge of things that are happening in our communities, from the parents on not only a medical level, but on a social level. Well, they're suffering and they're needing help in our communities. I also briefly worked for North Brevard Charities as a community liaison, where I gathered and raised donations with local partners and spoke directly with community leaders and what was going on and what was needed in the community. Through these combined roles, I have been a professional advocate, a mother, and a longtime resident with strong stability and able to listen and take action when needed. I understand both the system and how it's designed to serve the community in real-life challenges. Everyday residents face things every day, and I'm one of those residents every day. I would be honored to experience and be on this committee as the Social Services Ad Hoc Committee to help strengthen the services and support the community in any way possible. And my name is Erica, and it's nice meeting you all.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Lynn Golden,
I could not hear you, City Clerk.
Lynn Golden.
Good evening, Counselor. I am Lynn Golden, and I live at 1100 Country Club Boulevard in Titusville, Florida. I am the president of the Concerned Citizen Group. I'm here tonight to recommend 3 young ladies considered to be on the Titusville Social Service Committee. My first would be Reba Watson Johnson. My understanding, she was the first to complete her application. So that shows me ready and willing to be about Reba's character, speaks for her community as a leader, and she is a member of the Concerned Citizen Group. Second is Susan Pender. After leaving the area for almost 30 years or more, Susan immediately joined the Concerned Citizen Group, and Susan lives in one of the target areas. Susan, attending the meeting, she ran with a project in her community about lighting, and she counted how many lights was out and how many lights was on, and she was concerned about the safety of the sidewalks. But last but not least, Erica Davis, that you just seen. I remember Erica about many years ago, a young lady was brutally murdered by her husband. Erica worked with the violent people, and they gave her money to bury because the young lady parents was out of the country. Erica and her mom, Pastor Davis, took the 3 little kids, raised them, and now they're grown, and Erica still contacts with one of the kids. So tonight, you probably ask, why haven't you joined the committee? Well, I have a lot on my plate like you all. And taking care of a 101-year-old aunt and 97-year-old and trying to run my business and ministry, I don't have the time. But I would strongly, if you need me, I will be glad to volunteer. So I believe tonight these 3 young ladies will be an asset to the community. And I leave you with this. I pray whoever you choose that they will pray and lift up the community in Titusville. Jeremiah 29:7 say, bring unity and harmony, breaking down division and fostering a spirit of love and compassion among neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn.
Susan Pinter. Susan Pinter.
Good evening. My name is Susan Pender. I am a proud resident of Titusville, Florida community known as the Target area. I have a deep responsibility and genuine desire to make a positive impact in the place I call home. The community has given me the essential tools for success. It is important for me to give back in return. While we may have lacked some infrastructure in the past, we were rich in resources because our strong sense of unity and support as a village. If appointed to the committee, I believe this role provides a meaningful opportunity to renovate the Harry T. Moore Service Center. The center, located on the historic site of the Titusville Negro School, is a significant part of our community legacy in the target area, bringing renewed life and purpose to the center is a goal that aligns with honoring our collective history and serving our present needs. As a current member of the Concerned Citizens, I remain dedicated and diligently serving and advocating for the well-being of our community wherever I am needed. Community care is at the heart of my actions and involvement. Our target areas, communities, stands on the legacy built by the families that came before us. Among these families are the Bookharts, Davises, Emersons, Fasons, Fitchers, Griffins, Harveys, Johnsons, Joiners, Hayes, Knight, Lawson, Law, Murrays, Penders, Richardson, Smith, Strickland, Williams, Warren, and Wrights, and Wilsons, and many others. Their contribution have shaped the character and resilience in our neighborhood. The Titusville Social Service Ad Hoc Committee holds the potential to bring about a meaningful change in our community. I am committed to working and collaborating to ensure that our efforts honor and legacy of the past while fostering a brighter future for the target area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bender.
Reva Watson.
Good evening. Without being repetitious, I am Reva Johnson Watson, and I live at 950 W.C. Stafford Street here in the city of Titusville. I do desire to be on the ad hoc committee to assist where needed. And there's one main concern that the facility is not available during the hours after closing for those that work there. So that is one of my priority, is to make the facility available to the community when needed. I am retired and I am available to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Gina Beckles.
I thank you for the opportunity to address you, Mayor, and the rest of City Council. My name is Dr. Gina Beckles, and I was born and raised in Titusville, so I've been here for 62 years. Actually, it goes beyond that because I'm a third-generation Titusville resident, so I've seen everything from South Street being a dirt road to being paved to just all the growth around Titusville. So I've been here all of my life. I attended Apollo Elementary School. I went to Parkway Middle School, which is now closed. And I went to Titusville High School, and I was on the student government. I was even involved back then. So I have an AA degree from the University of Florida. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from Florida A&M, and I have an MBA and PhD, both from University of Central Florida. And my PhD is in public affairs, so I'm very involved in anything relative to government, whether it's contracting or grants or whatever. But I've always been very involved in this community, and I've always tried to serve this community. It's my home. It's where I raised my children. And like I said, this is where my ancestors were, and Titusville is in my heart. And I've served on several other boards, one of them being the North Brevard Charities Board. And when North Brevard Charities actually took over when they had the operations of the Harry T. Moore Center, I actually wrote the proposal to secure the operations of that facility. And when there were a lot of things that went on within that facility in the community, and it's not currently, I think, being served, but there are a lot of things, including they had turkey giveaways for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They had toy giveaways. They had people would go there to get assistance in filling out food stamp applications and other type of applications. People would go there to use the machines, like the fax machines, the copiers. They had a Zumba class even that had started there, and just a lot of community activities that went on there that I don't think are currently being served. And I feel that if I am put back on this committee,
I'm not trying to duplicate what was done previously, but I do think that I could serve as a key person in bringing the facility back to serving the community in helping the city of Titusville bring back some of the services and filling some of the gaps that are currently not being served. So I live at 5521 Oak Hollow Drive in Titusville, Florida, and I would love to serve my community on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
The last card is Dan Johnston.
Okay. It was a little hard to keep track of, but I think I did it. Of who put cards in. I'm gonna call up applicants in order of who has not spoke. So I'm just gonna go right down the line. Gina spoke. Kimberly Brooks, is she here? Would you like to come up?
Good evening, you guys. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kimberly Brooks. I'm just a plain girl. I'm Odessa's granddaughter, and even though I didn't grow up here in Titusville, I came here to take care of a lady who had cancer, and I fell in love with this city, and I call it the Ville, and I start moving around in the community, and I meet a lot of great people here, and which inspired me to do the things that I do. I work at Devereaux Behavioral Health Center for Boys. I'm really nervous, guys. And every day, they are the reason that we get up. I know I don't have a lot of the bells and whistles that everybody else has, but like I said, I'm Odessa's granddaughter. And I have a kind heart, and I have a passion for people. And that's my life of service. That's what she taught me, to be a person that helps somebody every day. And I feel really nervous because I don't talk about myself a lot, but serving the Boys Behavioral Health Center at Devereaux has taught me a lot. And Pierre, my friend, he's like, they said for us to come and represent them. Miss Kimberly talked for them. So I work really hard. Anytime I'm supposed to be there, I'm there before time. I've also volunteered at the Moore Center, and the Moores are my heroes. I literally started going up there to walk on the grounds because it was a beautiful place. And then I started volunteering there, where I was able to meet thousands of kids and people from all around the world. And the Moores are heroes to me. And I go in their house, when I knock on the door, I say, hey, good morning, Mr. Harry. Good morning, Miss Harry, because it's a privilege for me to be in that space and tell people that about those people. And all I have is me. I'm kind. I'm honest. I'm new to the thing. I do know social media. So, but I just would be honored to be a part of this. It's a learning experience. And a lot of people who know a lot more than me said it would be a good thing for me to come and say hi to you guys. And I'm saying hi. And so it would be an honor for me to learn, because I'm going to be in Titusville. And any place that I put my feet as Odessa's granddaughter, I always make a mark there. So thank you guys for having the time to take and listen to me. Appreciate you.
Ms. Kimberly, thank you very much for coming here. We appreciate you doing that. And it's interesting, I was at a shoe giveaway, and Devereaux was there, and I met a kid who had a size 17 foot, and he was like 15. So we don't have to say his name, but I was just like, that's pretty insane. But thank you very much. I will never forget him, that's for sure. Is Cynthia Dennison here?
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Dennison, and I have been blessed to live in Titusville for nearly my entire life. I have served as the Victim Services Director for the Women's Center of Brevard since 2020, and for 9 years before that, I was a victim advocate with the agency. During that time, I have had the privilege of helping thousands of survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking, all who are navigating various aspects of the current social services in our community. I also live in one of the neighborhoods that is currently a target area for this committee. I would love the opportunity to bring the knowledge that I have gained during that time to the committee and help continue to grow services in our community. But hearing everyone else speak tonight also, I don't think you can make a bad choice. You are very blessed to be in a room full of a lot of very accomplished people, and I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to ask to be a part of that. And thank you.
Thank you. Is Nancy Oliver here? Nancy Oliver? All right, not seeing her. Is Pierre Zador?
Good evening. Hello. I'm a bit nervous, but I got this. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Pierre Zador. I've been a resident of Titusville for the past 7 years. I have an AS in social work. I've worked for Brevard Public Schools for 3 years. I'm currently at Apollo Elementary as a behavioral technician. Spent 7 years at Devereaux as a supervisor. I'll be starting school in 2 weeks to become a firefighter. And I'm interested in joining the ad hoc committee because I want to be more involved in the community. I want to contribute meaningful times, meaningful hours, and I want to offer a fresh perspective. And, also I like to just give to the youth. That's my passion. And as you can see, I work at an elementary school and I work at Devereaux. Not everyone like those type of jobs, but I love it. So if I can be a part of this committee and give back to the community, that'd be awesome. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming here.
No problem.
Mr. Gary? Are we getting him a job application right now? Yeah. Thank you. I was going to ask him, but thank you. All right.
Good evening. My name is William Gary. I reside at 3705 Bell Arbor Circle here in Titusville. And my history goes back a long way with the Titusville Social Service Center. As a matter of fact, it was I and our NAACP branch that caused it to be named the Harry T. Moore Social Service Center back in 1985 when we erected a bust of Harry T. Moore on the grounds of it. In my capacity as president of the North Brevard branch of the NAACP, I have the occasion to deal with a number of people who need social services. And I think that my past experiences, both educationally and professionally, would bring a lot to this ad hoc committee. And if selected, I'll be willing to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Okay.
Christina Stokes?
Good evening. My name is Christina Stokes. I was raised in Titusville, Florida, attending Astronaut High School before attending the University of South Florida to study psychology and criminology. I am a published research author as well as a legal assistant with a background in counseling, community advocacy, and public service. I applied to serve on the Social Services Ad Hoc Committee because I care deeply about access to resources, accountability, and community-centered solutions. My experiences working directly with families, vulnerable populations, and in the legal field have shown me how critical, thoughtful social services are at the local level. I would be honored to contribute my time, perspective, and commitment to the city of Titusville. I bring both lived experiences and professional experience, and I'm committed to listening to the community and working collaboratively. I wish to serve on the Ad Hoc Citizens Advisory Committee because I am committed to strengthening access to social services and ensuring community perspectives are thoughtfully represented in local decision-making. I am familiar with the Harry T. Moore Social Services Center through its historical significance and educational exhibits highlighting Harry T. Moore's role in the civil rights movement, as well as Harriet T. Moore. My familiarity with the center is rooted not only in its historical significance, but also in its role as a trusted community resource, one that bridges past struggles with present efforts toward equity and social progress. The lessons I absorbed there as a child continue to influence my present-day advocacy and commitment to creating spaces that promote healing, education, and community safety. Exposure to this center at a young age helped shape my understanding of justice, civic responsibility, and community advocacy. The center's legacy continues to shape my commitment to service and social equity today. Through my background in community advocacy, education, and service work, I bring a collective, research-driven approach to addressing community needs. My involvement includes community advocacy, food, as well as resource distribution, art-based healing initiatives, and civic engagement support. I am eager to contribute constructively while learning more about municipal processes and supporting the mission of the Harry T. Moore Social Services Center. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Ms. Watson?
Good evening. My name is Monifa Watson. I'm the Executive Director of North Brevard Charities, where our mission is to help people achieve a better quality of life. North Brevard Charities serves families and individuals in the target population, in the target area. We actually own quite a few residencies in the area where we house and provide services for Titusville families. North Brevard Charities has a history of operating services and programs at the Harry T. Moore Center. I myself hold a Master's of Public Administration and Nonprofit Administration, and I have over 20 years in the social service arena. I'm committed to addressing the needs of the citizens in the target area and providing the resources and guidance, diversity of thought that is required to affect change in not only the target area, but Titusville itself. And as of today, I am a Titusville resident.
Welcome. More importantly, what color is your trash can? It might say Titusville on the address, but we got to make sure you have that blue trash can. All right, did I miss anybody that filled an application out to be on this committee? All right, seeing none. City Council, would you like to initiate some discussion? Member Moscoso.
Yes, thank you. We have, this is a really tough decision, really tough. One idea that I have is we have 5 people that live within the boundaries, and that was kind of our hope, is that we would have people in the area. So I kind of agree with Ms. Chifolo, who said there's 5 people right there. It's based off of where you live, and then from there, however we want to decide. But I personally like appointing the 5 that live in the boundaries, which would be Kimberly Brooks, Cynthia Dennison, Reva Watson, Susan Pender, and Erica Davis.
All right, thank you, Member Moscoso. Member Stokel?
Yes, I think with adding Erica, that would make it 6. So I just want to make sure, are you okay? I'm in favor of the 6, and that was going to be my recommendation, to at least get the 6 that live. So we had 5 originally, and then Erica.
Do we? Okay, yeah, the 6 would be great.
And then, yes, I would definitely be in favor of that.
Vice Mayor Cole.
You know, I listened to the applicants, and we have such strong applicants. I have a suggestion that might help us if we took the applicants and ranked them 1 through, you don't like that, do you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but if we did 1 through however many we have, and then we add those numbers, and that's how we get it. I mean, everybody is well qualified to be on this.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree, but I just think then that becomes public record, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. If I don't know them, I rank them low.
Well, you already
Also.
did by picking 5 out of the.
But it's based off its target area.
All right. I can piggyback off of Vice Mayor's suggestion by not us doing all the extra work, but by just changing the 7 to 11. Because we do have 11 applicants and it would be an odd number. So that is, council's prerogative as well.
I think I'd be okay with that, definitely. As I was listening, I was like, how are we going to make this decision? So I would definitely be in favor of having that, if we can do that.
And then, because, when you have these committees, like, sometimes people can show up to some and not all of them. And so you still have a well-rounded group. I'm sure our city staff are scrambling to our random decision-making, but Member Nelson?
Well, I'm wondering what our city attorney is thinking.
Not only was I thinking, I was mouthing to Terry, what does our resolution say? And if we're bound by the resolution currently, or if we want to amend the resolution to add that, it's up to
And that's the
council.
thing,
But
is
the
it-
resolution, I think, currently mandates the 7 appointments.
And if it's 7 and council wants to change the resolution to 11, that's council's prerogative. But I just had it as a thought and wanted to bounce it off you guys. But-
I think we should change it.
All right.
I would make that motion.
All right.
I'll second
Let me, all right, I have a motion and I have a second. Thank you, guys. Further discussion, Member Nelson?
I was pulling up a resolution.
You guys were making motions so fast.
Yeah, to see if we needed to change it. But it says at least 5 members with an additional 2. Oh, wait a minute, it says committee shall not exceed
Correct.
7. Yeah.
So we could just edit that to say 11.
Yes.
That would be the edit.
I
Agreed.
believe we would have to bring the resolution back before council, and then you go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I will hopefully entertain a motion that we appoint all 11 to the board, pending the resolution change. Hopefully that won't take too long, right?
Yes. Will we also need to change, there was some other criteria in there that required them to be residents of Titusville, voters, and there was another criteria. I think there's a couple of applicants that don't meet all the,
Well, we can
Is-
double
are-
check
are
the
there other
applicants and see if, I think it says, no more than 3 that are not in the city limits or target area. Whatever that language is, we can clean that up. Is
Okay.
council in favor of that?
Yes,
Yeah,
All right, somebody make the motion then.
I can't repeat that.
I'll make that
Let Jimmy
motion.
do it.
How about that? I'll do it like that. We're going to amend the resolution and appoint all 11.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
And one more housekeeping item in regards to this committee. As a newly formed ad hoc committee, the rules state that the mayor appoints the chairmanship. After hearing all the candidates, I think Dr. Gina Beckles would be a good chairwoman if she's willing to serve. Would you be willing to? Thank you. All right. Thank you. City Manager?
Next is petitions and requests.
Yes. That's up to council.
Okay,
Member Nelson?
before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I see Ms. Rosinga back there, and I think she's trying to table a item. So I'm wondering if we could go ahead and hear her.
Can you make the motion to, and
Yep.
pick the item number and?
She's
and
going to have to tell me the item number. 9B,
D.
D.
So you have to make the motion and somebody. would
So
have to
the
second.
motion would be to go ahead and hear Ms. Rosinka on 9B.
D.
D.
All right, I have a motion to make.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to say, I'm sorry, sir, were you up here for petitions and requests?
Beg pardon?
Were you up here for petitions and requests?
This would be petitions request.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you please just have a seat real quick? We got some housekeeping
good.
stuff that kind of got sprung on me, so I apologize. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. City Clerk, can you call the roll?
Member Moscoso,
Yes.
Member Nelson, Mayor Connors.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole.
Excuse me, if
Yes.
I may interject,
Member
I'm sorry,
Stokel.
I was talking to Ms. Franklin before regarding the previous change in direction from council. What's the motion before?
It was to move item 9D to right now before petitions and requests.
And was the motion passed?
Yes.
And so therefore I need to read the quasi judicial proceedings.
Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't vote yet. I don't think it passed yet.
Oh,
We were in the middle of the vote.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't know
City
what the
Clerk, where were you
motion.
in the numbers?
I'm sorry, sir.
All right, can you recall the roll?
Yes.
Wait, can I have discussion? This is just to table the item, correct? Okay.
Well, to move this item up where she's going to request to table it.
I believe
Better.
the proper terminology as we are working on it is that the applicant is going to ask council if she can continue the quasi judicial hearing, and therefore, first, I would have to read the instructions because this is open to a public
Okay.
comment.
City Clerk, can you recall the roll, please?
Yes. Member Moscoso,
Yes.
Member Nelson. Yes. Mayor Connors.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole.
Yes.
Member Stokel.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. 9D is now. City Attorney?
During the public hearing portion of this meeting, anyone wishing to speak on the quasi judicial item must first sign a public hearing agenda card and sign the oath contained therein. These cards are located on the table at the front of council chamber. Those speaking in favor of requests will be heard first, those opposed will be heard second, and those who wish to make a public comment on the item will speak third. The applicant may make a brief rebuttal if necessary. Witnesses may be cross-examined by the applicant, counsel, staff representatives, and such other representatives as authorized by council. If you have photographs, sketches, or documents that you desire the city council to consider, they must be submitted into evidence and will be retained by the city. Please submit such exhibits to the city clerk. City clerk, have persons wishing to speak before city council sign the oath card on this item? City clerk, have all agenda items been properly advertised? And council, I would ask, make the inquiry regarding any ex parte communication on this item at this time.
Member Nelson?
None.
I got a call from Attorney Rosinka today informing me that she wanted to delay this particular item, and that was the extent of my communication.
Thank you.
Member Moscoso?
Yes, I think we all received an email
I have not checked my email all week.
asking for it to be tabled. That was to the city emails.
Okay, maybe put on the record.
I mean, apparently I got an email, but I don't remember
We
seeing
haven't
it.
seen it, I understand.
Other than that, none. All right. Member Stokel, anything?
I'm checking. I think I did get an email. It was, I think, as Member Moscoso said, just requesting to table, and I think she wanted to meet with us, but I have not communicated with her or wrote back.
All right.
And I think I got the same email.
Okay, thank
Didn't
you.
attach a whole lot to it.
Thank you.
All right. City Clerk, are there any cards?
Yes, sir. We have Kim Brzezinka first.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. My name is Kim Rozenka with Lacey Rozenka in Melbourne, Florida. I'm here on behalf of the applicant Blackfin Partners who wishes to develop a 7-Eleven on Darien US 1. We have had conversations with staff. We'd have conversations with planning and zoning members. We'd like the opportunity to talk more with staff to see if we can work around some of their concerns, and that's why we're asking for the continuance. It was just last week. It was a quick turnaround. I don't even believe the minutes are available yet for your review. So with that, I would ask you to continue it to a time certain of February 24th.
Thank you, Ms. Rozenka. Member Stokel?
Yes, question, because I think at this corner, there is a public notice sign. So do we need to send out more cards or notice when we do hear this item again, or how does that process work?
You're asking for a time certain at this point in time, so the re-advertising may not be necessary, but again, I don't know if there are any comments to open to the public today that wants to be heard.
Okay. City Clerk?
We have 4 cards. First one is K. St. Ange.
Thank you, Ms. Kay. City Clerk?
Lorley Thompson. Jill Dobson. And that is it.
All right. So, council discussion, motion, Member Nelson.
Motion to continue CUP 9/2025 to 2/24.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Member Nelson.
Yes.
Mayor Connors.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole.
Yes.
Member Stokel.
Yes.
Member Moscoso.
Yes.
Motion is continued. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Sorry for the brief interruption. We are now in petitions and requests from the public, non-agenda items.
Good evening. My name is Greg Valdyke, and we're talking about my neighborhood. I've been here for a long time, probably it's about 52, that's what came in. And I've lived in my house for about, I guess about 45 years now. And live on 205 Acorn Drive, north end of Titusville, used to be called Indian River City. Biggest issue that we have is old houses there, and very old houses. A number of them I just count off my hand, probably less than 10 on our street, and that are over 100 years old. So what we're looking at is we have a lot of issues with commercial roads that are being used and activities that are going on there that are not residential. It's going more and more that way. The roads that we have, we had come up with a program that was to establish residential neighborhoods where we are, and having US 1 as one boundary, Hopkins being the other. That being a business road area on both of those two sides, and then with no new commercial or other businesses in there, primarily to be just residential neighborhoods. And what we're looking at now is we've got trucks coming in and out. We have shortcuts that coming through. Cumberland Farms was a good example there. There was supposed to be, at the time that it was accepted and passed through in 2017, the plan was for there to be about 43 cars coming down the road in front of my house there per day. I dare say we have 43 cars come through in the 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. And then you have more trucks and cars. It's a service road, and we have US 1, which would be a more advantageous service road, and Hopkins, but we seem to be coming through our neighborhood. We're trying to keep this as a historical area, and that's all I need to say about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stan Johnston. I'm being approached by some people who have had their homes flooded, and I've been referring them to the city, and I would want to, since I'm on TV, I want to encourage all the people who have been flooded to contact the city, because there's a number of houses that have been flooded that aren't reported. And it would certainly be, and some people are just fearful, or they're just fed up with it, or whatever, but they're not reporting their flooding. And this doesn't help the solution. So I'm asking for people to report their problems, because I know a number of people who haven't reported their problems. And that hurts the city to solve the problems. So again, I encourage people to tell what's happened, and help the city out to fix the problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Melinda Villan, Historic Indian River City. I'm here about commercial uses on Acorn Drive. Indian River City commercial zoning is a misnomer. It is mixed use, and mixed use does not mean a free-for-all for commercial activity. Acorn Drive has become a de facto commercial street. This violates not only the neighborhood plan, but the US 1 corridor master plan. Businesses are supposed to be off of Hopkins, US 1, or Highway 50. Acorn does not have any Hopkins addresses on it, but the city keeps allowing businesses onto 244 and 245 Acorn Drive. The city has allowed a parking lot off the alleyway between Acorn and Birch, causing around 70 cars a day to use the alley. The city has allowed the same alley to become an on-street loading and unloading zone, so multiple large trucks come out of the alley onto Acorn Drive a week. Recently, you have allowed freight loading and unloading on Acorn to a business on Hopkins because they are allowed to deliver to a cross alley. I would like to know how the 2017 on-street parking code does not apply to Acorn when the only carve-outs are for commercial and industrial, neither zoning we have. I would also like to know how these uses reflect the intent of the Indian River City Neighborhood Plan, which must be followed according to the City Comprehensive Plan. And I would like these uses to come under compliance, or I'd like the plans publicly amended to reflect what the city has used Acorn as, a commercial instead of predominantly residential side street. I have a letter from one of my neighbors requesting a future agenda item for the possibility of Acorn to become a locally designated historic district. I am entering it into the public record and also asking the same. I am reserving the remainder of my time for you to read it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cook, did we receive a request to vacate that alleyway? Because I thought that was the plan going forward.
Yeah, I think we'll be bringing that back to you as a proposal in the future to vacate the north side.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll look into it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Melinda.
I'm Glenn Keller. I live on Mockingbird Lane. And I'm putting in for a permit for a shop, a 30 by 35 foot shop, because there's a lot of thieves and homeless living in the area. I've lost $15,000, $20,000 worth of tools this year. And they say I can't build it because it's bigger than my house. I live in a small house. It's only 800 square feet. I live out of state half the time in Alaska. So I was hoping to put up a 30 by 35 foot shop to put my boat and car and stuff in and keep it safe and secure. And they said to come here and ask for your blessing, and I know I got to do a variance and other stuff with them. So I don't know where else I can go or what I should say or do.
Well, thank you very much for coming here. I think the variance process is the one you got to follow at this point. Unless staff or council have anything else to weigh in on. I don't see Mr. Parrish here. Oh, there he is.
A variance is an option, so that the Board of Adjustment would have to process that request.
Yeah, I talked to him about that.
Member
But they
Stokel?
said to come here and ask
I think you're petitioning City Council.
Yeah.
I guess my question was for Brad, is there any other options besides the variance for his situation?
I'm not familiar with the specific situation he's asking for, but based on what I understand, there is a limitation on how big your accessory structure can be versus your house.
Okay.
In most zoning districts, and I think that's what he's referring to. And that is typically handled by the Board of Adjustment through a variance process.
Okay.
I got 3/4 of an acre, so I'm not on a
That's-
little quarter-acre lot.
That's what I was going to wonder, does
So
it have to
there's
do with
plenty of room.
setbacks or anything like that? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you have plenty of property, so.
Right. And my little house sits in the center, and it's an old 50s, 60s-year-old house.
Okay.
So I hate to put a nice metal shop and attach it to it. I can attach one to it, but it would look pretty crappy.
Okay.
There's plenty of room. I can set it off to the side, and it would be aesthetically way better.
And as the mayor was saying, the Board of Adjustments and Appeals does the variances, and so they are a separate board that would look at that and make that decision. And then on whatever they decide, that is the only board that's not an advisory board, so whatever they decide is binding and that sticks. We don't get to hear the appeals of that. So hopefully that process will help you out in your situation.
Okay, would the gentleman over there have the info I need?
Yeah, so second floor, right up here, business hours, you can go in there and fill out
Okay.
that appeal form.
Yep, I talked to him at the building place, so
Thank you.
I thank you.
Appreciate it. I was gonna say, seeing none others?
All right, Stell Bailey. Tonight, I'm not speaking to titles, I'm speaking to responsibility. To the council members in this room and to the people who feel this in their gut every single day, Titusville is not broken because of one bad moment. It's broken because of years of excuses, silence, and protection of the wrong people. City Manager Tom Abate did not appear out of nowhere. He was placed in this position after more than 20 years inside this system, after taxpayers funded a national search that was quietly tossed aside. Every council member voted for him under the promise that his deep ties to the city would fix what was wrong. If corruption has lived here for decades, you just mentioned that this was happening before the water director resigned in 2023, then being deeply connected doesn't make you the solution, it makes you a part of the problem, complicit. At the end of the day, the buck stops with the city manager. He is the boss of the staff. You take direction from the council. And instead of confronting failure, what we've seen is delay, deflection, and denial. I didn't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. That doesn't work anymore. Now, on Monday, I do want to highlight and thank Herman Cole for his honesty and his directness and his concerns being voiced. And I told you I'd give you kudos, and I'm doing it tonight. Because everyday people in this city know something is wrong. City employees know something is wrong. And if they know, then you had to know, or you choose not to. This goes far beyond theft in the water department. You know it, we know it, and it is all coming out. Every department, water, police, administration, people who should have been fired years ago were protected while hardworking employees were ignored, underpaid, and forced to survive in toxic environments. You reward bad behavior and punish integrity. You give raises to upper management while employees scrape by. You give friends city cars to take on vacation. You allow resignations after misconduct. Amy Matthews. You put officers back into the same communities where trust was already shattered and then act surprised when people lose faith. And to those worried about what Bavard News is saying, understand this. The press was never meant to protect the government. It was meant to hold it accountable. The real courage here belongs to the insiders who finally said enough. We don't work in City Hall or the water department, but the employees do, and they're the ones risking everything to expose the nepotism and the cronyism that has grown out of control. Tom Abate, whether you did know or you didn't know, you should have known as the city manager this was going on. 20 years, you are the common denominator, and comfort born from a protective cabal is not leadership. Everything comes to light always. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, city manager?
So moving on to consent agenda, we have 4 items. Any items like to be pulled by city council members?
I don't see any lights up, city manager.
I'll go ahead and I'll read all 4 titles for the record. Consent agenda item 8A, the 2025-26 annual disbursement agreement between the Brevard County Commissioners and the city for the home grant program. Item B, the emergency purchase orders for Synagro South LLC and GSM Engineered Fabrics LLC. Item C, the purchase of fire department tools and equipment. And item D, the award of contract for the Bayview Seminole project.
City Clerk?
Yes, sir. We have cards for item 8D. It's Will Pringle.
Will here?
And Kathy Pringle.
Good evening. Before I begin, I'd like to thank our mayor and the members of the council for listening to us and considering our request. The complex issues of managing a city do not go unnoticed. So it's with gratitude and respect that my husband and I humbly ask for your consideration. I'm Kathy Pringle. My husband Will and I are high school sweethearts. We've been married for 30 years, and we've been blessed with 3 daughters, one of whom is getting married in the fall. We live together with my 85-year-old mom, and our home is a place that we believe God has graciously given us, not just to live in, but to serve others. We live, work, and serve in our community. My husband and I are small business owners. We volunteer, we support the homeless, caregivers, and students seeking to attend college in our community. 4 years ago, we were given the opportunity to purchase a very special home that is part of Titusville's historic landscape. In 1920, James Easterly built a handsome craftsman house on the corner of Riverside and Gray Street, 1240 Riverside Drive. It has a porch that faces the Indian River. Many know it as the Ron Norris House. Our waterfront street is a favorite for families, joggers, walkers. It's even listed on Brevard's Register of Historic Buildings. We consider ourselves not just owners, but caretakers of this home, not just for our family, but for the history of the city as well. This home has endured multiple hurricanes and decades of rocket launches, and it is an ideal vantage point for the town to view the upcoming Artemis II launch. We come here tonight to respectfully ask you to protect the history of Titusville. While we understand the need for improved infrastructure, there must be a balance. We're asking for you to delay the construction of this project until the property boundary and the right-of-way is legally established. As my husband will explain, there's confusion with the placement of the new submersible sewage tank and the recently installed green box relief valve. We believe that the project is significantly encroaching on our property. We have already had 2 surveys done, and with comparison to the city survey and measurements given to me by a bidding contractor, there is a boundary issue that needs to be addressed. In addition, as we live in a historic neighborhood, we are also asking that the project consider a fence that is residential and historic in nature, instead of urban chain link. As the current pump house respects the architectural style of its surroundings, we expect that Titusville will continue their vested interest in keeping the most walkable street in town beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Mayor, can you verify which item?
They're talking about 8D as in dog. City Clerk, are there any other cards? Well, other than Mr. Pringle.
Yes, we have one additional one.
Okay.
We have Will Pringle and Scott Cutter, it looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to keep track of everybody.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Connors and council members. My name is Will Pringle, and I live at 1240 Riverside Drive, directly adjacent to the proposed Seminole Lift Station project. This evening, I provided handouts to the council. These include a printed copy of page C8B from the lift station plans that were provided to us by city engineer Ashley Smith. Based on those plans, we had concerns about where the city was showing that where our property line was along the Indian River. Using a survey completed in 2022, it appeared that the proposed underground lift station may extend onto our property. That concern was reinforced when a contractor bidding on the project independently suggested to us that portions of the proposed station appeared to be on our land. This understandably alarmed us. We asked the city to mark the property lines so that this could be clarified. And when that did not occur, we personally hired a well-known professional surveyor here in Titusville, John Cooper, to officially stake out our property lines. He completed that work today. If you look at the handout, you'll see that I've drawn a red line on the first page, showing our property boundary based on that survey. The items highlighted in yellow, including fencing, piping, and related infrastructure, appear to be located on our private property, or they will be when constructed. The photos included in the handout, the other two photos, show the property line that's physically marked with white flags and string as placed by the surveyor today. Those same photos clearly show a recently installed green vent box is located on our property. That's represented by the green box on page 1. With that confirmed boundary in mind, when we review the lift station plans, it does appear that the project is currently designed would require it to be built on our property. We want to be clear that we're not opposed to these infrastructure improvements. We actually fully support them, but we're concerned about the construction occurring on our property without clear ownership, right-of-way, or easement authority, and about the permanent impact that this would have on our property value. I respectfully ask that the council direct staff to meet with us, review the survey that we had done today, confirm the property lines, and make any adjustments accordingly before the project is awarded, the budget is approved, because frankly, I don't know how it could be approved if there's changes required, and certainly before any construction occurs. Thank you for your time and also for your service to our great community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. City Clerk?
Scott Cutter.
What was
Scott Cutter.
Is Scott here?
Good evening. I'm Scott Cutter. Council members, Mr. Mayor. So I live on Riverside Drive, 1226, in the house built by my great-grandfather in 1908. I share a property line with the Pringles, and the city, Riverside Drive runs through my property, and my concerns are that the city is making the infrastructure upgrades and they're not being a good steward of the information. So we've been promised a couple of times to have an informational meeting on the planning, and we haven't seen that yet, and that causes us concern. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, I'm going to have to ask you a question. We did not agree to pull an item ahead of time, but I think we should probably pull this item now. So can we do that?
Sure, a motion can be made and accordingly.
Move to pull item 8D.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second to pull the item. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, let's address items A, B, and C, which are still on consent. Any further discussion? Member Nelson?
Move to approve consent agenda items 8A, B, and C.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second for items A, B, and C. Any discussion? City Clerk?
Mayor Connors.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole.
Yes.
Member Stokel. Yes. Member Moscoso.
Yes, I'm
Member
sorry.
Nelson.
Can you guys not leave?
Yeah. Yeah. So we pulled the item for further discussion. We're just handling the first three items. No. So, apologize. Did we finish the roll call, City Clerk?
Yeah, we did.
All right. So, motion carries for items A, B, C. And again, we pulled item D for further discussion, so it didn't get lumped in with the others. With that being said, Vice Mayor Cole, did you have something?
Oh.
Okay. All right, well, I'll tee it off. Ms. Sandy, Mr. Cook, Mr. Parrish, is this project encroaching on their property?
So this is the first I'm hearing of it, but in all fairness, I got my job on Monday, so. Just saying. It sounds like we need to do a review. This project does have a resiliency grant attached to it, so we are in a time crunch. I'll have to get with Ashley and see, and since they just did the survey today, obviously we have not been able to see if it disagrees with what we have. The engineer is required to look at the right-of-way, but I would like to review the differencing in opinion and see what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak for myself, and I hope council agrees with me. I'm all for, let's put money in infrastructure, but not at the expense on encroaching on other people's property. So, Member Stokel?
Yeah, that was my question. Time sensitivity, is it okay if we table it to our next meeting, or would that potentially hurt the grant?
I think we can do 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay, that would be my recommendation, is to table this to the next meeting so staff can look into it and we can make sure that we are not proposing something on somebody else's property.
Yep.
And Otis, you said Ashley has your contact information? Okay.
All right. Member Nelson?
I would move to table this until February 10th.
Second.
All right, there was a motion and a second to table this item until February 10th. Member Scosa, did you have discussion?
I just had one question. Is there money, because I think that was a great point about the fence. Is there money in the project, or is that I'm looking at it right now and I think they're right, just a chain link fences.
If there's not money in the project, we can look at, operating funds or something that could look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's, important that we make sure we're not building something on their property, and then we can kind of dive through the rest of it. So there's a motion and a second to table this. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So Sandy will be getting with you. Okay, thank you. All right. So we tabled it so that they can reach out to you and we can make sure that we're doing this the right way, okay? City Manager.
Yes, moving on to ordinances, second reading. Item 9, the first is ordinance number 1-2026, amending Chapter 15 pensions. And this is to conduct the second reading and public hearing. And this HR Director will read the ordinance and be available for discussion.
Evening, Mayor, council members. An ordinance of the City of Titusville amending Chapter 15 Pensions and Retirement, Article 3 Police Officers and Firefighters Pension Plan of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Titusville amending Section 15-222 Benefits effective June 30th of 2013, subsection E, Salary, providing for a change in the types of incentive pay pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement, and amending Section 15-233 Deferred Retirement Option Plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability of provisions and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. De Niro. City Clerk, are there any cards?
No, sir.
Council, any discussion? Member Nelson?
Move to approve ordinance number 1-2026, pensions and retirement.
Second.
I see a motion and a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso stepped out. Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes. Motion carries 4-0. City Manager?
So moving on to 9B, ordinance number 2-2026, amending Chapter 15 of the pensions. And this is also to conduct a second reading public hearing. And Mr. Nenaro will read the ordinance for the record.
An ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending Chapter 15 Pensions and Retirement, Article 2, General Employees Pension Plan of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Titusville, amending Division 5, Section 15-110, Deferred Retirement Option Plan, providing for repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for severability of provisions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. City Clerk, are there any cards? Member Nelson?
Move to approve ordinance number 2-2026, pensions retirement.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. City Manager?
Sir, we've already dealt with 9C and 9D, so we'll move on to ordinances first reading. And the first ordinance there for 10A is to conduct the first reading of ordinance number 3-20226, updating the 5-year capital improvement schedule of the comprehensive plan for the City of Titusville for the 2026-2030 horizon, relating to the capital improvement element and providing for effective date. And Brad Parrish will read the ordinance for the record.
An ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, updating the 5-year capital improvement schedule of the comprehensive plan of the City of Titusville for the 2026 to 2030 horizon, relating to the capital improvement element and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parrish. Any cards? All right. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, City Manager?
Sir, moving on to ordinances 10B, small-scale amendment, application number 7-2025. And this is to conduct the first reading of ordinances for small-scale comprehensive plan, SSA 7-2025. And Brad Parrish will again read the ordinance for the record.
The first ordinance, future land use element, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending ordinance number 60-1988, which adopted the comprehensive plan of the City of Titusville, by amending the future land use designation on land located at the northwest corner of Elizabeth Avenue and Queen Street from low-density residential to high-density residential on 3.61 plus or minus acres of property having parcel ID number 22-35-09-2*-7, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing for an effective date. And the rezoning ordinance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5-1993 of the City of Titusville, Florida, by amending the zoning map made a part of said ordinance by reference by changing the zoning classification on land located at the northwest corner of Elizabeth Avenue and Queen Street from the single-family medium-density R1B zoning district to the multifamily high-density residential R3 zoning district on 3.6 plus or minus acres of property having parcel ID number 22-35, -09-2-*-7, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parrish. City Clerk?
We have one card. It's Tony Schifolo.
Tony Schifolo, Tropic Street. I'd like to point out that in the packet, the developer put in a page about the public meeting that is required. They held one public meeting and no one in the neighborhood attended. The one public meeting was Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. in July 23rd. How many residents even knew about it, really? And how many in this middle-class working area neighborhood probably had leisure to be at home at 9 o'clock and attend a meeting about a land developer without really understanding what was going to happen? You're talking about filling high-density apartments, condos, whatever, into this single-family neighborhood. I'm a little concerned about it because it's very near and close to the Whispering Hills and developments that are prime mid-century modern neighborhoods, hoping to see some kind of community development there. So I just wanted to point out how bogus some of these developers are in fulfilling the plans that they present here. We had a meeting, and they say, if you looked at their page report, it started at 9 a.m. and finished at 10 a.m., even though no one attended. What kind of malarkey is that? Those people need to have another meeting so that more than, all right, homeowners within 500 feet, isn't it 500 feet, are notified. At 100-foot lot sizes, that's 5 houses near this property. At 75-foot lot sizes, that's 6.6. I did the math. That's not very many people. Wonder why those 5 or 10 or maybe 4 sides to the property will give them 20 houses. How come none of those people showed up? Did they not care about having apartments or high density put into their low density single family residence? I'm kind of upset about it because it's near my community and because I'm watching out for those mid-century modern communities because I'd really like to see them come together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schiffelow. City Clerk, are there any more cards? All right, thank you very much. City Manager?
So moving on to old business, item A is resolution number 1-2026, establishing the governance structure for the city's economic development organization, and our Economic Development Director, Nick Gow, is available to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Do you want me to start read the resolution? I don't really have much to present, but I'll read it to you. A resolution of the City Council, the City of Titusville, Florida, establishing the city's Economic Development Board of Directors, defining the roles of the Executive Director, Administrative Support, Legal Counsel, and Advisory Committees, establishing the board's long-term strategic and financial authorities, approving the process for the appointment of directors, provided for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gow. City Clerk, are there any cards? No, sir. City Council? Member Moscoso?
I think I spoke to the attorney about this, but in section 5, it says the executive director can utilize specialized outside legal counsel without, and it doesn't mention our city attorney. And so I think my question was, this is actually kind of an advisory board, right? And so if it is an advisory board, then does it fall under the same rules as other advisory boards? Whoever would like to answer.
City Attorney? Mr. Parrish?
Yes, it would fall under regular advisory board. I believe Mr. Parrish indicated the nature of the board would probably require more transactional legal input. Again, I'm happy to do overseeing of any billings that may come in, but I believe the indication was that the nature of the board may require continuous legal transactional property
contracts and agreements for incentives.
So there'll be minutes taken, all of those things.
Yes.
Okay, and then like quarterly reports as well. So some of the things I would like, I think it doesn't specify this, and if it does, please forgive me. I think it should say that candidates should reside in North Brevard or Titusville. I think does it say that?
It does.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure that was there. I might have another question, but I'll let someone else go when I find it.
City Council, any other questions? Member Nelson?
I was sort of thinking, and Megan, this might help, if we said the executive director may utilize specialized outside counsel. after consultation with the city attorney.
I would be okay with that for sure.
I like that.
Okay.
I think in most of our minds, I think that's how it should work, but
Yeah,
making
that-
sure it's
I
written
think-
down
And
makes
that's what I
a
was
lot of sense.
intending to do through that process.
You could say the executive director, after consultation with city attorney, may utilize specialized outside legal counsel.
Member
Yes,
Nelson?
yeah.
Did you have anything else? Member Moscoso?
Will there be audits done on this, or since they're?
Yes.
Okay, because my fear was not that this is in beds, but there were no audits done in the city or the county.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that this isn't in beds 2.0. So I want to make sure that there is freedom there, but then there is accountability. I did like on in beds, not that this is it, that there was somebody on council who was part of it, and I don't know if that's something we feel is necessary or want to include. I would be happy to be on it, but I'm happy for any of us to be on it, but that is an option as well. And possibly not even, I think with embeds, you weren't even a voting member, so not even a voting member, but just kind of there for the meetings.
Yeah, I believe all these meetings will be
Liaison.
open to the public in general,
Correct.
but with embeds, city council appointed somebody to be the liaison to report back to council. So once hopefully we get this established, we can then decide about sending a liaison.
This resolution will just stand up the body, but then once we have the candidates and we've selected the board, then they'll create the bylaws and all the other processes that go with that.
And the bylaws and processes will all come back before us.
Correct.
Yes. And I think that's the important thing now is we're still kind of crawling, you know. Any other comments, questions?
I do have one clarification, Ms. Moscoso. You asked if the candidates should reside in North Brevard. It actually says all candidates must reside in Brevard. It doesn't clarify specifically North Brevard.
That's what I thought, and so I would prefer that it says North Brevard, since this funding is coming from the city of, the seed money is coming from the city of Titusville, so the city of Titusville or North Brevard.
So that boundary would be basically the,
District 1 County Commission.
all right.
Yes, thank you.
And then also the audit. It says in there at minimum, it'd be an annual audit. If you want more than that, we can certainly clarify that or just at your request.
So there's going to be an audit, but are there going to be, for example, quarterly reports, or so we can see the projects and things that are being approved? And is it over, I'm sorry, I read this like last week, but if it's over a certain amount, is that when city council is kind of alerted, or how is that going to work?
The specifics of all that can be determined later. This is
Okay.
really just creating the framework of the
Okay.
organization.
So they'll hammer out a lot of those details in the bylaws, which we approve.
Okay.
You know, so as they kind of come together and form the organization, they'll come all back before us of processes, systems, liaisons, approval amounts, all those things. But an annual audit is typically standard. Quarterly reports, you know, makes sense, but we'll make sure when it comes back before us, all those things are included in the bylaws.
So the change could be that it's North Brevard or Titusville, if you guys would agree to that, to being on the.
We would recommend North Brevard
Brevard would be
to
the
max it out.
recommendation.
And just for ease of calculating that, District 1 County Commission, District 1 School Board, they're all aligned. That makes sense in terms of lines, because if you just say 528, it's really gray. All right, is everybody good with those changes? Any further discussion? All right, somebody want to make a motion? Your mic's not on.
Yeah. Move to approve resolution number 1-2026 with the changes that we outlined, establishing the EDC Board of Directors and Executive Director.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from council?
We just want to clarify what the actual motion is actually changing in this resolution. You're going to change the Board of Directors to anyone within North Brevard.
North Brevard,
And was there any?
adding consultation with the city attorney.
Yeah. Mike's not running up a big legal bill. All right, any other tweaks or changes, council? All right, city clerk?
Member Moscoso,
Yes.
Member Nelson? Yes. Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole? Yes. Member Stokel?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here, Nick. City Manager.
Moving on to new business, 12A is the Employee Benefits Project Status Update. And we have our HR Director and our Health Benefits Advisor will outline that agenda item.
Good
Yes,
evening.
Mayor and council members, good evening. So after the presentation of pharmacy benefits, and as you all recall, coming off a very challenging year with healthcare and our costs, particularly high-cost claimants that affected the healthcare plan. You heard a report from our pharmacy audit, and certainly there were some challenges concerning our pharmacy plan. So we, as a internal committee involving our departments, finance, HR, purchasing, we had some discussions, opening some discussions with physician network, namely Parish and some of the network that they provided. I think we had a very good conversation. I remember having the conversation with Chris McAlpin about the particular network that might be available that we could provide to our employees. So we began that discussion, and I remember his response and said, "Joe, you're not alone. There's a lot of communities that had high-cost claimants and had pharmacy challenges just like us." So we also began our discussions with Brevard County. We understand there's some commonalities with Brevard County to continue with their cost containment, having to deal with high-cost claimants and pharmacy. So we've been working together since the beginning of the year, and I'd like to, if our benefits consultant can summarize some of the components that in a little bit more detail about our strategies for a health strategic plan going forward. So.
All right. Thank you, Joe, and good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. So we're going to go over the proposed strategy, but I welcome feedback. This is our recommendation, but I want this to be, get your direction, get your feedback. And so to start, looking at the guiding principles for our strategic plan, as Joe mentioned, this was a tough year, not just for the city of Titusville, but for many, many employers. Seeing rising healthcare costs, outpacing general inflation. And so the goal for our 2026-2027 immediate strategy is to maintain stable coverage for employees and retirees, improve financial sustainability for the self-funded health plan, reduce administrative burden and reduce operational risk, increase transparency and flexibility for future decision-making, and align with regional market practices and regional employers. So as Joe mentioned also, this was a collaborative development using team members from human resources, finance, risk management, purchasing, and One Digital. So this cross-functional approach ensures there's financial oversight, procurement compliance, operational feasibility, and then risk management alignment. So currently, the city does have several contracts with varying vendors and varying effective dates. So as you can see, medical, ASO, administrative services only, and PBM, which is Pharmacy Benefit Manager for the self-funded plan, is with Aetna. That currently does have a contract expiration date through September 30 of 2029. There was an RFP that was done in 2019 that allowed for that number of renewals. So that is the maximum term with Aetna today. There was also under your dental and COBRA that is currently with Aetna from a 2023 RFP, so that is going to be going through 2028. Stop loss is also an annual contract that's currently with Sun Life expiring September 30, 2026. Vision with Humana is expiring September 30th, 2027. And then your flexible spending accounts, that's actually expiring coming up here in March. And then group life and AD&D, or accidental death and dismemberment, with Minnesota Life is expiring at the end of September of this year. So the city currently administers, to accommodate these different contract periods, they have 3 enrollment periods, 3 open enrollments. The first one is Medicare with January 1 effective dates. Second is March for FSA only, and then October 1st for the remaining benefits. Despite the benefits for medical, dental, and vision being on a fiscal year basis aligned with October 1, your deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums are currently on a calendar year basis. So if you do change plans, there is a transition of deductibles and accumulators, which is additional manual intervention. So in addition to the accumulators not aligning with the plan year, each open enrollment is a manual process today. There is not an online enrollment system. And so that requires 9 to 12 weeks per year to manage these 3 open enrollments on a manual basis, and that's just as a rough estimate. And so part of our strategic plan is to move the city's benefit plans to an aligned calendar year, beginning January 1st, 2027. With the implementation of an online benefits enrollment platform, this would allow for 1 open enrollment period for staff to manage, which reduces both qualitative and quantitative costs by just having 1 open enrollment. So we'd consolidate your benefit lines into 1 annual enrollment period. This would reduce the manual processing and staff workload throughout the year, improve accuracy of data and payroll integrations throughout the year, and then align with the neighboring employers as well. If others are comparing plans, which plan do they want to enroll in? Most employers are on a calendar year basis. So again, that would enable automation of the annual elections, improve payroll integration, and then again, reduce that manual intervention where we can. Strategic action number 2 is focused health plan cost management. So as a result of the PBM audit, we did have some interesting findings. And with the results of the audit, we are proposing a PBM only, or the pharmacy benefit manager portion of the contract with Aetna, as a standalone procurement. CVS currently owns Aetna, so there has been concerns in the past around conflicts of interest. So wanting to ensure that we hold Aetna accountable on the PBM side as well. You do, as I mentioned earlier, have those renewal periods on the Aetna medical ASO side through 2029. So to leverage their carve-out flexibility, Aetna actually does allow for the PBM portion to be carved out with minimal fees. Relative to other carriers that do charge pretty significant administrative fees to carve out the pharmacy benefit portion, Aetna does charge relatively low fees, lower than the administrative fees that you're paying for the pharmacy benefit administration today. So we see that as an opportunity to have a more flexible partner on the PBM side. We also, in addition to looking at the PBM-only procurement, we'd want to do an independent audit of the medical claims. We did go through a pharmacy benefit audit that we presented earlier, but we'd also like to look at a medical claims audit on the medical administration side. In addition to those immediate actions that we're proposing, we're also evaluating high-cost medication management solutions for specialty and GLP-1s. We're also looking at comprehensive weight management programs. As you heard earlier, there is a significant driver of diabetes medications on the plan, so looking at holistic ways to provide resources for your employees and retirees. And then once aligned on a calendar year basis, we'd be looking at future joint procurement opportunities with Brevard County to have more flexibility to do those, to utilize the purchasing cooperative and have aligned benefit contracts. Strategic action number 3 is exploring high-performance medical networks. This is a trend that we're seeing in the market, especially across public employers. So as Joe mentioned, we did have an initial meeting with Parish Medical Center, who is an interlocal partner, and the city's current on-site clinic provider to explore their network strategy capabilities. They have a narrow network plan that is tied to their hospital system, which does increase reduce your medical costs by aligning with one hospital system. So it's a strategy that we're evaluating. And through that, there's better coordinated care, quality outcomes, and cost containment. So we have begun those initial conversations and plan to have further conversations and develop a potential narrow network strategy, whether it's a tiered benefit design or an additional plan option. Strategic action number 4 is to establish a employee benefits advisory committee. So that committee would be comprised of 5 to 7 volunteers, representation from both employees and retirees. They would serve in an advisory role, providing oversight on the health plan, and their responsibilities would include reviewing financial performance and operational performance, identifying improvement or opportunities for cost savings, and providing written recommendations to the city manager annually. And then in terms of financial and strategic alignment, this proposed strategy does align with the city's financial stability initiative, focusing on cost efficiency, administrative sustainability, and long-term planning. The desired outcome from this would be a phased, disciplined approach that strengthens fiduciary oversight, improves operational efficiency, and positions the city for more informed cost containment measures while minimizing member disruption. And so that leads to where we're looking for your feedback and input. We're looking for your direction on approval to facilitate the transition of all benefit lines to a calendar year basis beginning January 1, 2027, and then approval to proceed with our proposed 2026-2027 health plan strategic plan. And we would coordinate with the city attorney and go through the competitive solicitation process, coordinating with procurement, ensuring that the appropriate contract amendments are executed and compliance with all applicable regulations.
That it?
That is it.
All right. City Clerk, are there any cards on this matter? Yes, sir. All right, just double checking so we don't get too far down the road and I forget. City Council, Member Stokel?
Yes, before you probably have a lot of questions, I'm assuming.
May or may not.
My only thing was, and it goes back to the presentation earlier, I thought I had heard the gentleman here say that we should not look into piggybacking with the county, but then also when I was meeting with staff, it looked like we wanted to continue maybe one more year with Aetna and then maybe look at piggybacking to save money with the county. So I'm just a little bit confused on that portion.
So that's still under evaluation. I do have a meeting tomorrow with Brevard County, so the timing was a little tough to provide a solid recommendation, so that's why it is still under evaluation, but their contract with their current carrier has one more year. Okay. So I do want, my recommendation is we need to take some sort of immediate action to manage the health plan because it has been very high cost and volatile. So instead of waiting a year to coordinate a joint procurement with Brevard County, I'd like to do the PBM only portion and leverage the minimal fees that Aetna will charge because you still have time in your contract with Aetna. So we can see if we can find a more flexible, better financial arrangement that would give us opportunity to do just more innovative strategies, leverage international sourcing of different drugs. There's a lot more programs that we could look into that Aetna currently does not allow. So I will pause there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I guess I'll ask a question. So when we started this Aetna contract, was it 7 years ago? Who negotiated that contract?
That was me.
That was you. Okay. And do you feel that it's a good contract? Do you think it's working? I mean, obviously, we kind of went through and found some stuff, right? So what kind of tweaks would you recommend to make it make sense?
Yeah, definitely the PBM portion needs to have a closer look at because I think there's opportunity. We did exceed their minimum rebates, so I think we can tighten up on those rebates, get higher guarantees if we go down that rebate route. There are other administrators or PBMs that have the lowest net cost approach, providing a different form of rebates. And Ray, you can probably speak to more of the details on, those getting to the lowest net cost. But that is something that I think we really need to take a closer look at. And then through the medical audit, identifying anything additional that may not be, they may not be administering correctly, but from a anecdotal standpoint from my experience, we did just go through a competitive RFP process comparing Aetna's discounts to other carriers, and Aetna was very competitive and comparable, even looking at the locations that the city of Titusville uses with Parish Medical Center and Health First. So from a pricing standpoint, on the claims side, which is the bulk of your costs, Aetna is very competitive still. And then from an administrative fee cost, so the medical ASO fees, they're very in line with Brevard County, even Brevard County being much larger. So your administrative fees are still pretty competitive.
And then with plan design, so if we back up to before we increased the enhanced plan to $100 a month for the employee only, you guys designed that plan?
We did, yeah.
Okay. And then, so 0 for basic and 0 for enhanced, and then we tweaked it, or y'all tweaked it, to charge $100 a month for the enhanced plan.
Yes.
And so did the out-of-pocket maximum factor into the calculation of how you guys came up with
Yes.
those numbers? So why would somebody choose the enhanced plan?
To have lower copays, have a lower deductible, depends on their healthcare needs. But by having both plans at a $0, a $0 premium for employee-only coverage on both plans, it really did not encourage people to question it.
100%, but that's the plan you guys put together. And then you changed it where if you pay $100 a month, you could end up paying $200 more a year if you hit your out-of-pocket maximum. So again, that plan design doesn't make sense. And Aetna inherently is not a TPA, they're a carrier. And when you look at carving off the PBM, there's only so many PBMs that are certified with Aetna, correct?
There's a pretty long list.
And one of them is probably CVS Caremark.
Yeah, we wouldn't recommend CVS Caremark.
Yeah,
right. But Maxer, Proact, some of these middle market PBMs that we've seen a lot of cities go to, definitely have more flexibility. So I believe there's a lot more PBMs out there in the market. Well-Dines here in Florida, that would bid on a project like this.
Yeah, because from my perspective, I see that Aetna's PBM is not in line with market norms. I mean, you guys disagree with that because you guys just said that. You said it's very much in line. That's not what I'm seeing in the marketplace. And then looking back at your pharmacy audit, and just to quote, RX Connection utilizes the internal drug list called RX Defender, which looks for non-essential opportunities that provides less expensive alternatives. RX Connection recommends the city of Titusville engage in clinical program management to better align with plan spend and clinical savings opportunity. So was RX Defender available to the city last year?
No, the RX Defender list is an internal portion of what we call our total risk management platform. That's separate from Gina's group. That's with our RX Connection avenue. What we're really trying to highlight there is so when I look at the RX Defender list, I call those the low-hanging fruit. That's minimum disruption, same effectiveness. So a lot of those medications, the alternative medications, will provide the same effectiveness at a lower cost. We look at, whether it's a combination medication where you're taking one pill for $1,000, for instance, 2 pills, same medications in that one pill could be $20. Things such as that. So we're kind of looking at your planet as a whole and saying, can we provide the same effectiveness at a lower rate?
100%. And I'm just, again, confused as to why, this wasn't being done up till now. And again, the conversation we had before is why was there no pharmacy audit done now? And, I don't know, is that HR, is that you guys, and trying to make sure everybody knows their responsibility? And then going back to the pharmacy audit, can you explain why the generics, the biosims, and the formulary were excluded from the claims audit?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kind of goes back to what I was saying before. A lot of the times, especially when you talk biosimilars, when, let's say, Humira, for instance, when that has a higher rebate for the manufacturer coming to the PBM, when the biosimilars came out, those rebates went away, which means that drug price, even though it didn't go down extraordinary, did go down quite a bit, the PBM has little ways, especially Aetna. I've seen biosimilars being covered on other PBMs, but Aetna, that's one of their kind of, we'll say no-nos, if you will, when it comes to exclusions. So there are ways that PBM can affect the drug price, and when they go in, they do the forecasting, there's certain drugs they know they can't affect very much, so they'll exclude those drugs. When we go through an RFP process, we're going to look at the exclusions. We want to see as little as exclusions as we can, because we want all claims to be included in that guarantee, because that means across the board, PBMs being held accountable to doing that lowest net cost.
So there was no rebates on Humira.
There are rebates on Humira.
Why didn't we get any?
I believe you did. I could provide you with the exact number of the
Yeah,
rebates.
because I wasn't seeing that in the audit.
What'd you say?
I didn't really see that in the audit.
We didn't list exactly like Humira out line by line rebates on there, but if you'd like, I can definitely provide a list of drugs we think are rebatable.
Yeah, because Humira, I mean, what's the average cost of that? $90,000?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's
Well,
tens
there's
of thousands.
a suitable alternate for, what, $12,000?
Yes, there's a few out in the market right now.
So again, just trying to figure out how we, take care of our people and be cost efficient. And, I know Parrish has this down pretty well in terms of the pharmacy and their formulary and what they do. But unfortunately, governments take a long time to move. And
Correct.
while I do think that coming together and creating something that government employees countywide, because I know the school board has issues, other cities have issues, the county, everybody, that's a big ship. And that's going to take forever to move. And to the point, our ship is sinking here. We had to move how much money over last year to cover our medical fund? I mean, it's costing on average $15,000 per employee. So I think we need to get a handle on this sooner than later. And I guess my concern is every time we have one of these kind of get-togethers, I'm just kind of losing confidence. And I'm confused as to how we made a motion on June 10th. Member Stokel made the motion to draft a RFP for a benefits consultant. And yet we're still working with the benefits consultant to draft our future. And it's nothing against One Digital. It's nothing against RX Connection, who is owned by One Digital. But you guys put together a plan. I didn't even see, did you guys get that plan ahead of time? I didn't see it in the agenda packet. I don't feel comfortable adopting a health plan for our employees at this moment, because we don't know. I think a more comprehensive look needs to be done. While I know you guys have it in the timeline, why is it taking so long?
Yeah.
Because I want all the ideas coming in.
Yeah.
I want it to be competitive. Like, no offense to Ms. Gina here, but, there's all kinds of different ideas out there on how we can do this effectively.
Yeah. So, Mayor, to your point, on going back to the RFP that we did in, 2019 with Aetna, it was a competitive bid process, as I recall. I sat on the committee, and between Cigna and Aetna, and Robinson Bush, One Digital, did an audit of their discounts and found that Aetna's discounts in terms of the medical claims contracting were more competitive than the other bidders, primarily Cigna. So at that time, that's why Aetna was chosen, because of the discounts. And I don't think those discounts have changed, or they've continued to be competitive in the marketplace. So that's why we've focused on the pharmacy side is, and I'm interested to know, and one thing that we brought into this equation is our employees. Our employees voiced two concerns, particularly during the open enrollment process. Why was our premiums climbing higher, and that was to pay claims. We had a number of high-cost claimants. And number two, the issue with GLPs and access to GLPs. We didn't have any guardrails for GLP-1s. We do now through some pre-authorization, and we're trying to manage that So, you know, we think that I'm interested in knowing from our employees, and you mentioned our employees this program is for them. With a committee that we formed a committee when we developed the value plan, and they helped us when we only had one plan at that point. The employee committee helped us value because the enhanced plan was costly at the time to them, and they helped us prepare a value plan, which we now have an option. So by listening to them, I'm interested in knowing from them as we move forward how we can contain costs, keep the premiums that they can manage themselves in paying those premiums, but at the same time paying for our claims. And again, we've had some very high-cost claimants. I'll share with you at the end of this last fiscal year, we had a very high-cost claim that had we not been able to manage the discounts that Aetna provided, it was over a $3 million claim. It was one of our employees who was hospitalized for a long period of time. That claim was a little over $3 million, and as a result of the discounts, it was about $900,000. And then when you add our reimbursements in place that we have, the city only had to pay the deductible of $190,000. So we feel that we have the cost-contained strategies in place to go forward. The near-term result, we think, from our professionals is the pharmacy program, and we're listening to our employees on how we can manage co-pays, deductibles, premium costs, but at the same time, an affordable plan that we can pay. So
I think the confusion I have is none of that answered my question of how did we get from we want to shop out for the best ideas as a consultant to we're going down this path and directing a strategic plan. And I do listen to the employees. I bet a lot of us talk to the employees. They're not happy. So I don't think you can sit there and say, we're listening, we got it. Because I just kind of went through point by point by point years of different decisions that don't add up. And that's my issue here is that there's a track record, there's a pattern. And so I want to see something major done. Well, I do agree that the PBM is low-hanging fruit. Intertwining it with Aetna as a TPA is probably not the solution. And their network is not that great to begin with. So there's going to be some definite changes need to be made, including the ASO and including the network. So, Member Stokel.
Yes. This is definitely not my area of expertise. So when it comes to health care for our employees, the top two priorities for me, one is quality of life, making sure our employees can go to the doctor they need to go to. They're not constrained by certain things. That's top. And then number two is costs. So those are the things I'm consistently looking at. I think to the mayor's point, I do remember that when we had discussed this before, I do remember making a motion to do an RFP to go out so we could see options for, so did whatever happened with that?
I don't believe the motion, I have to check, I won't.
Okay.
But was it actually a motion and it was passed?
Yes.
If so,
I will
then
read it
was.
for the record. Motion, Member Stokel, move to request the staff to address a request for proposal for employee benefits consultant health insurance for FY26 and bring back to the council for their review and recommendation. Vice Mayor second. Motion carried unanimously.
So Mayor, you're referring to the health benefits consultant?
Yes.
Okay. So we've been working with purchasing. Purchasing is working through that process right now. They should have the scope of work finished with probably the next 2 weeks, February, and it should be, the plan is then, once that RFP, that scope is complete, would be brought back to you all for, I think that was the plan, is that you would review it, and then it would be placed out onto the market around the March timeframe, so that we would get proposals back.
This motion was made June 10th.
I'm sorry?
This motion was made June 10th.
And I think the intent, at least from my perspective of making that motion, was, again, this is not my area. Clearly, this is the mayor's, what his career is in. And so I think the intent was because, at least from my perspective, I'm not very familiar with this, so I don't even know what questions to ask. Sometimes was to get this RFP so we could look at the criteria, and hopefully the mayor could guide us in some good questions to make sure that we're covering for our employees. And now it feels like here we are, February, when that was made June, and we haven't gotten an update on that as we're trying to make improvements for the city. And now we're being presented a plan here that it feels like we weren't able to kind of contribute to.
And to go even a little bit further, do you guys remember when during open enrollment, we voted to approve something they already offered to the employees? It was too late to make changes.
Yeah.
That's where at that time we said, as soon as October 1 was here, let's go start from scratch, come up with new ideas, put together a plan to tackle it in 2026. And it feels like we're dragging our feet. And I got to ask why.
So, Mayor, we're not dragging our feet, okay? It's my job to do the best in developing a strategic plan for our benefits program for our employees. And that's what we've been doing as an internal committee since the beginning of the fiscal year. That's our plan. The strategy is to continue down that path. We need some professional help in guiding us through that medical plan. To your point of the benefits consultant, that's in the process, and it will come back to you in that February timeframe. We're also partnering with Brevard County. We've had some discussions with them. We're not delaying. I assure you, sir. We're not delaying. We're moving forward with. We think this is a strategic plan and moving forward with some cost containment strategies.
But again, kind of going back to the beginning, you wouldn't put the cart before the horse. If you knew that we made a motion that we wanted an RFP for a consultant, why would you engage the current consultant to continue to work on the future plan? And I'm not saying that they're not going to win it. I have no idea. But I think that's what needs to be addressed. And again, it's just, I'm trying to figure out why.
I don't think we're putting the cart before the horse. I think the health plan is the near term that needs some help. We need the benefits consultant, some professional advice in helping with that. We're getting that out into the market while coincident. We're working to get that procurement RFP done, as you said, it informed us to get done with the benefits consultant. That's in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot more questions about the pharmacy audit, but I won't dive into them here because I think they're more technical in nature. But Member Nelson.
I'm going to suggest that we table this for 2 weeks to the next meeting, and that we have the RFP on the agenda at that meeting.
Was that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from council?
No, I'm okay with that. I still don't know if that's going to give me I'm glad we will have the RFP, but I don't know if that will give me enough confidence to approve what we're getting presented as well. I think that's again, this is not my area, but I feel like the mayor has brought up several things since he's been on council that have made me be like, oh, we need to look into this more. And not to say you're not doing your best, but I feel like there might be some other things as he's uncovered things during our meetings. And I'm like, oh, this could have been better. So I think that I would want some more information before I would feel comfortable moving forward and approving the strategic plan that is being presented to us. So I'm okay with tabling it, but I'm just stating that.
Yeah, and to your point, I'm not in favor of, approving that strategic plan that, again, I just saw when it presented up there. Don't get me wrong, there's some solid stuff in there, but again, it's just trying to figure out why hasn't this been done in the past? And I want some new ideas going forward as well. And to answer everybody's questions about GLP-1s, that is not the number one issue. People want to blame it on that. You can buy it on Merritt Island for $200 a shot while CVS is charging us $1,000.
It's down to $150.
Down to $150, I guess. You can even have it shipped to your home, okay? So, again, it goes back to being direct contracting with our local providers like Parrish. You can provide a wraparound network. There's a lot of different things we can do, but I'll leave it alone. There's a motion and a second. City Clerk?
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Connors?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cole?
Yes.
Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Moscoso?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, team. Appreciate you guys being here. I know it's tough.
Thank you.
City Manager.
Sorry, before we move on, this is another thing, just on that topic. Have we looked into the state insurance plan? I will say that because the college switched over to the states, and I was curious if that is something that we've looked at potentially doing as well.
Can I clarify? Are you talking about ICUBA, the association?
No, she's talking about the state health insurance
Yes.
program, and that was a result of Florida statute that the
Correct.
state colleges.
Why
moved
we
over.
had to, but I didn't know if it was something that cities could opt in to look at. Okay, thank you. That was my only other question.
So you're saying ICUBA is no more?
It's not what.
I know, but I was just asking because, they're fully insured with Florida Blue, and that was a whole other fiasco, but. City Manager.
Moving on to 12B, the Christian Court Townhomes preliminary plat for development off of Garden Street, and Brad Parrish is here to.
The Christian Court Townhomes, formerly known as Mercedes Townhomes, is a proposed townhome subdivision on approximately 7 acres located north of Garden Street behind McDonald's and the O'Reilly's Auto Parts store on Garden Street. On January 10th, 2006, City Council approved a final plat called Mercedes Townhomes for 72 townhomes on the subject property. However, the final plat was not recorded, and the approval subsequently became null and void. The former property developer completed certain site improvements, including installation of utilities and construction of internal roadways, which remain in place today. These existing improvements will be tested and inspected as part of the future site development and townhome construction to ensure compliance with current standards. The preliminary plat is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the preliminary plat requirements described in Chapter 34, Article 3, Division 5, Plat of the Code. I will give you a little bit of background here. The parcel known as Lot 5 was originally created with the recording of the Garden Street Associates subdivision, Lot 2, in 1996, and subsequent replat, which is Lot 5, in 1998. The original plat was for 2 regional commercial zoned property parcels of no less than 2 acres adjacent to Garden Street. Plat was approved. The replat was for 5 lots and the rezoning to community commercial, and that was done in 1997 for parcels greater than 10,000 square feet. The reason I give you this background is this whole property has gone through several types of development orders, approvals, plats, replats. It's received various variances. One in 1997 was approved to allow the Basin 2, which is part of this area, to exceed the area of critical concern standard of 40% to the maximum 50% for this particular parcel where this plat is being considered tonight. However, all of the entire original plat couldn't exceed 40%. So when we received this request to go ahead and construct according to what was originally proposed several years ago, we realized that we were going to have to account for the maximum impervious coverages of all the other properties that have already been developed. We did that. We did a thorough investigation of our records, determined what they can and cannot do on their property, also determined what changes in the code happened since 2006, and they had to address those with certain variances, which they justified and were able to get received by the Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Based on this information, we believe that the application to preliminary plat is consistent, again, with the city's code and we recommend approval.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Kim Fisher. John Morris.
Good evening. It's John Morris, 4001 Ainsley Avenue, and that's Orlando, Florida, 32833. So I am here just to answer any questions the council may have regarding this project.
Member Stokel?
It's either for you or for Brad. Can you just clarify this Hammerhead turnaround dead end that the request was made, and is the applicant okay with it? And why is that request made?
Yes, I forgot to mention that. So the Planning and Zoning Commission did consider this preliminary plat. They recommended approval 7-0. However, they did have a request was made to the applicant to explore and consider putting in a hammerhead turnaround on the dead-end street that abuts tracks K and L, or lots 43 and 42 on the provided preliminary plat. They did provide to us an illustration of what that would look like. We shared it with several staff members who reviewed this in the site review team, including the fire department, and we didn't see a justification for it. But I understand, too, that if this is implemented, it will take out several several of the units, rather, which eventually will actually take out some of the lots, because this is supposed to be a fee simple platted subdivision of townhomes. So staff did not believe that the request is necessary. We believe they met meeting the criteria as is.
Okay, and I guess was the request made for emergency vehicles to be able to get in and out, or what was P&Z?
They were concerned about how the emergency vehicles will be able to turn around at the end of the street. We believe that they meet the criteria as is. So I reviewed it with our fire department, and they didn't see an issue.
Okay, and I'm assuming they would just pull in and back out because there's only 4 on each side? Is that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Okay.
And then we could speak, Kim can speak, our engineer can speak more intelligently to that if you desire.
Member Moscoso?
How many parking spots does each unit get?
2.
2, so like, was it 1 in the garage and then 1?
outside.
And do you have additional parking available?
There will be some parking scattered throughout. There's going to be mailbox clusters and things like that, but not official. The original plat didn't call, or the original subdivision design didn't call for additional parking. So what's already in the ground exists today, and I don't see if there's a way to add additional parking.
My fear is I've lived in a townhome, subdivision like this, and first of all, most people cannot park because these are such small lots. They're not parking. I couldn't get my van when I lived in a townhouse, so then we had to park in the driveway, and then luckily there was additional parking because there's no parking on the street because you cannot get an emergency vehicle around if you are parking in the street. So that really does concern me if there's no additional parking.
And I think that's a valid concern. However, because we're in the reclaim area, I think we're very limited to what we can do previously. I'm not sure if we would be able to fit additional parking on the lot itself because of pervious requirements.
Well, I mean, we're not married to this plat. This was never recorded. So I think if we see those things, I think now is the time to bring it up. If we choose to ask for some changes, those variances do not go with this. And so we want to see you develop on there, but I have some major concerns, and I don't know if you want me to talk to you about it or to ask your engineer, but.
Yeah, we can explore it further. I mean, this is a little bit different because it's an already existing subdivision. The roads, the infrastructure is already there. We are simply taking over, bringing it up to existing code, and then going to finish the site. So it's not like it's a raw deal where we can maneuver and manipulate the land and add to it. It'd be worth talking about, but I don't know, given our current setbacks, how much we could wiggle into the parking area.
I mean, it is a raw deal because it was never recorded.
Correct.
Okay. So we could, if we had wanted to, scrap this completely because it was never recorded. If you want to hear my concerns, first of all, I don't feel like P&Z got a really good chance to look at it because they weren't given all the information. Mr. Parrish gave us 4 pages of information and asked us to make a decision on this. So I went back and asked him for more information. So P&Z didn't get the extra packet that I had him send to us. And then we had a little tango to try to even get that on the agenda so others could see it as well. So my concerns are, one, this is in the area of critical concern.
It is.
It is. And so there are supposed to be certain requirements for that. If we look over at Brookshire, which I know is not your development, that is also in the area of critical concern. And looking back at these variances that were given, I'm just going to read them, and they're not binding unless we go with this plan. But the variances, and I don't know, I actually went back and watched the video, the BAA for the variances, because I was curious how in the world did it get passed. There was one on May 28, 2025, to reduce minimum lot size from 2,000 to 1,830 square feet, reduce front setbacks from 25 to 20 feet, reduce certain rear setbacks from 25 to 15 feet. And then every motion that's included in the condition, it does say this. The BAA did say, or sorry, the BAA did say this: the variance approval is contingent upon approval of replat to support the proposed development. And then on August 27th, there's another one, a variance. It was approved to allow building coverage to exceed the 50% on the lots. And that's our area of critical concern. And so I want to see you develop on this property. However, the amount of units, I'm concerned about. The amount of lot coverage, I'm concerned about, because it's we've just experienced historic flooding. I would like to see personally a much better plan than this.
Okay.
City Council? Seeing none. Member Nelson?
I have to agree. I think we need more information. It bothers me that we're talking about over 50% lot coverage, and a substantial reduction in setbacks. So I'm just not crazy about it.
Member Stokel?
Yes, and I think to Member Moscoso's point, when she was asking about parking, and you saying it's not possible, I think it is possible. You just might not be able to do as many units, potentially. I think that's what we're kind of getting at, is we want to see you develop, but we might need to make some compromises so we can ensure there's no flooding, that people can actually park at their units, those types of things.
Okay, understood.
Anybody else? Not seeing any.
May I provide some information?
Yeah.
So what you have here is a plan that is not a rezoning, if you will. I mean, this is a plan that went through the administrative process with a site plan associated with it. Yes, the additional documentation that Ms. Moscoso mentioned was not provided to P&Z because it wasn't required to be provided to P&Z, nor was it initially required to be provided to City Council. The code only requires us to bring the preliminary plat, which is basically the layout that you see here in the agenda. The addendum to your agenda was the additional information that was requested by Ms. Moscoso, which was shared by you and added to the agenda. So that is additional information that P&Z could have certainly asked for. In fact, it doesn't include the entire package of the site plan. That was just several sheets of the site plan, and all the reports were not provided. If you want to see more information, we're certainly providing that to you. I do want to say, though, that this particular project went through all the requirements. It meets all the requirements. It received the variances according to code and as the Board of Adjustment determined with the variances and criteria that were provided to them. And they're binding to this particular layout. So I think what you're asking for is some means of maybe asking to revise something here, maybe a layout, but you need to point to something that they're inconsistent with. And that would be my recommendation to you, is that there have to be something that you have to identify to substantiate the change. What is it that is inconsistent with when it's already been determined to be consistent?
Attorney Moscoso?
Attorney, thank you.
That was giving you a promotion.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that, Brad. I would hope with good faith that you would give us all the documentation that we need to make a good decision, and I do not feel like you did that on this project, and also to P&Z. So I'm glad I asked, but I would hope that as much information for us to be able to make a good decision will be given on every project moving forward. Second, like I said before, this was not recorded. We are not bound to anything. So yes, we could give him suggestions on what we would like. Obviously, we want emergency vehicles to get through there. We want to make sure that there's not going to be flooding. This is our area of critical concern, so that means that we need the aquifer recharge there. I don't like the setbacks. There's a whole list of things I could tell you that I don't like, but we are not bound to this. And I just want to make that clear. As much as Brad, you say, we are not bound to it. It was not recorded, and according to state statute, we're not bound to this.
I agree with you, ma'am. I'm just trying to point out to you that the code states what we're required to give to you. If you'd like to make a change to the code asking us to provide to you additional information on a routine basis, that we would need to have. The other thing I want to point out, too, is the code states that after consideration of the administrator's recommendation, the Planning and Zoning Commission may recommend approval with conditions, or denial of the preliminary plat based upon the review criteria contained in the code. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall forward its findings to the City Council, whereupon receipt of said findings shall either approve with conditions, or deny the preliminary plat. Approval of the preliminary plat by the City Council authorizes the applicant to proceed with the site plans and preliminary plat. Approval of the preliminary plat with conditions authorizes the applicant to proceed with the site plans once the administrator certifies in writing to the applicant that all conditions have been met. If the preliminary plat is denied, no similar submittal on said property shall be made for 1 year from that date of denial. So I think if you're going to deny it, you would need to cite something. If you're going to approve it, you can approve it with certain conditions. That would be my recommendation to you.
Can I ask the attorney? If we are going to deny, we need to state why.
Yes, you would have to put on the record as to reasons for a denial of an application.
Absolutely, happy to. Brett, I feel like what you're doing is putting an aspirin in, a piece of chocolate and giving it to us and trying to trick us. If I can be very, very honest, I know, but I would feel if I were on P&Z and I'm new at it, I wouldn't know exactly what to ask. And it was like pulling teeth to get additional information. And I just want to be clear about that. So I'll let others have time to discuss, but
If I may, I can give a little bit more color to this. This has been a 2-year work with us in the city of Titusville, going through multiple reviews. Our initial application was to submit this as a master plan development that went to the state for platting. So it wouldn't be fee simple lots. The entire community would be one development, which would bypass this council. So that was the first option. And then after several meetings with Brad and his team, we determined that there was another route, and that a fee simple route, which we're going now, would be a easier and more beneficial to the city versus having one platted apartment-like townhome community. So that's the reason why we've made this switch and gone this route. And I think that's the reason why, and Brad can attest, this has been a 2-year work for us. I think we can let Kim, the engineer, speak more intelligently to the design and other aspects of the code. But this is just a little bit of our frustration as we've gone 2 years. Our first initial was a master platting with the state to be more of an apartment-style townhome. And then we shift that about a year in to be more of a fee simple plat. So I would rather not go back to option one. I feel this is a better development for the city, having fee simple platted lots with individual ownership versus a rental style community.
Can I ask him, when was the last time this property sold?
Earlier, December 1st. I purchased it December 1st.
December 1st, okay. So of 2025.
Correct.
Thank you.
Member Stokel?
Yes. What is the current land use and zoning on this?
The zoning is residential 3, R3 rather. If you give me a moment, I'll just verify. but I do know it has a multifamily zoning on it.
On the entire piece of the property?
Yes.
Okay. And then, do you know why BAA, what was the hardship for the variances being approved?
Is that a question for me?
Or anybody that knows?
I'd have to look specifically at the particular report or specific variance that was requested. But I do know that whatever was requested, the Board of Adjustment determined they met the hardship.
And it sounds like Member Moscoso said that they added on there with the caveat that it's, I forget what you said, it meets all requirements and they probably didn't see this plan, I guess is what I'm getting at. So that's where, to have more clarification on what BAA's intent was. What was the hardship that was explained, why they felt like they could give it, and then they probably didn't see how many units or what was being
They
proposed.
would have had to see the layout of this plan.
They
for
did see
project.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the layout hasn't changed.
Okay, so they saw the layout that we see. And then, do you remember what the hardship was for the variances?
I don't. We can defer to our engineer.
Okay.
One
My
was
guess is
because
going
they
to
made a mistake and then they had to go and add an additional variance just to make the first variance work. I did request all the meeting notes as well to be sent out. I'm not sure if that was done.
That's true. This was a very difficult project to try and get to work. And so because of the changes of the code for the past 20 years, there were some hurdles that they had to go through to kind of justify it. They were able to do that with certain changes and configurations here and there. And mainly to try and utilize the existing footprint of the infrastructure that was put in there 20 years ago. And to answer your first question about the land use and zoning, it is high-density residential, and it's a land use and has an R3 multifamily zoning district on it.
And I would like to have some type of development here, I think, and this is no fault of your own, but I was here when we were going through the Brookshire development, which again is nothing to do with you, and was assured by staff, this is fine, and then we had this record-breaking rain in a short amount of time, which can happen again, and we had to close our 95 exit. The state has to get involved, people's homes, and so I just want to make sure I'm not up here as a decision maker saying, oh yeah, it's fine, and then we have residents either here or in the surrounding area now when rain comes, we have water going into people's homes. That is my number one concern that I say over and over again with any proposed development. Again, no fault of you, it's just being up here and seeing this, it gives me pause.
I think there's a little bit of clarity on this, because this is a little different than taking a wooden subdivision or a wooden plot of land and turn it into a subdivision. This subdivision's been in existence for 20 years. So we've been able to see over time, over the last 20 years, how this affects the surrounding community, and we're not changing anything. The grade points that are there, the roads are there, the stormwater ponds are there, everything has been functioning for 20 years and hasn't bled into the existing neighborhoods. So I think we can be a little bit more at a peace of mind knowing that this has been proven for over the last 20 years in the city of Titusville.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Cole.
This question is for the city attorney. We can't disapprove this legally if there aren't any specific reasons that go against code. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, of course, I'll give you the attorney answer. It depends. Of course, if you're going to deny an applicant any application, you'd have to put on the record the substantial competent evidence, so to speak, as to why you're denying it. So that would be definitely the recommendation for the council. If you are going to deny something, you would have to put on the record as to the reasons and what authority are you relying on to deny such a request.
Member Moscoso?
Yeah, I would just say when the motions were made for the variances, it says the variance approval is contingent upon the approval of a replat to support the proposed development. So for me, that's the reason. It's
Just for clarification, Councilmember Moscoso, are you understand, or I would like to advise you that the variances were all previously granted and it is binding
if we approve the plot. But if we don't, my understanding is that they don't go with it.
The variances would go with the application at this point in time because they've been approved by a previous board. Who has the authority to approve and grant the variances?
That's correct. So we will develop this project regardless of whether or not we plat individual lots or we do a master plan. These variances went through and gives us the right to build as you see on the layout. The only thing that's up tonight is whether or not we plat with the city of Titusville or we plat with the state.
I just personally don't want to be responsible for this development. I think that it's not in the favor of the city or the residents. My understanding is that it doesn't, but I'd have to have some time to really look that up.
Member Nelson.
I think we're in a situation that if we can't point to the code and say, we're violating this is reason that we don't want this project, we're disapproving the project, I think we're almost in a situation where we have to approve it. Not that it makes me happy, but I think.
Can you point to where it says we have to approve it? I'm really struggling because I feel like it wasn't recorded.
So, Member Moscoso, I think it's interesting. Again, I'm not an attorney either. If you look at our options, it says recommend approval or do not recommend approval. Normally, these things say approve or deny. And I think that's kind of an interesting distinction that the staff put on there as to what our capabilities actually are. Mr. Parrish.
I'll just repeat again what I read here. So here are your real options. Approval of the preliminary plat by City Council authorizes the applicant to proceed with the site plans and the preliminary plat. Approval of the preliminary plat with conditions authorizes the applicant to proceed with the site plans once the administrator certifies in writing to the applicant that all conditions have been met. If a preliminary plat is denied, then they can't resubmit the same in a year. What I want to point out about being a denial in a quasi-judicial process like this is that you would need to cite a particular violation of the code that they are not consistent with. That would be my recommendation.
Well, I would like to make a motion to table this into our next meeting because I feel like we haven't been given enough information. Oh, sorry, I think there's more cards, but I'm just going to say I don't feel like I've gotten enough information. I don't feel like the council has gotten enough information. And if we're going to do this and we have to do it, I want to make sure, because we are going to be responsible. We're going to be responsible for this development, and we need to be able to say 100% that we did everything and there was nothing we could do, or I would feel more comfortable. But I know that we have another card.
Well, Kim.
City Clerk, how many cards do we have on this matter?
Kim, which is part of the applicant, and then we have 2 additional cards.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, very late evening. For the record, Kim Fisher, engineer of record for this project. I do want to say, and John is right, we did look at going into basically a condominium style, which we would then plat through the state. But one of the things that we want to do is make this also an affordability to go condo and do some other things. I know sometimes it's between our brain and our heart and what we want to see versus sometimes what we get. But we also have to look at the community we're in and the residents we're serving and what the affordability is for it. Now, if we did like a traditional subdivision that has a 50-foot right-of-way and sidewalks on both sides, that's obviously going to cost a lot more and is not going to be, I don't want to say it's well received. Let's just say it might not meet the affordability index for the residents. So in order to get this project going and make it affordable to the residents here, we want to work with the confines of what's already in the ground, what's previously approved. I understand we may not like the code, but this is the code that we have. The code doesn't require additional parking spaces. If you've ever lived in a townhome, then you know parking is an issue. We certainly don't have any issue revisiting and maybe working with staff to see if we can get some grass parking spaces. That's something we can look at later when we do the final. Since this is a preliminary plat doesn't have, we still have the site plan approval and the final site plan approval, construction plans, and the final plat. But we can definitely look at trying to add some grass parking spaces, because I get you that sometimes things get a little crowded, but we also understand that what the code is. And so we're abiding by the code. Some of the variance we were given was there was some drainage easements and utilities on the rear of the property lines. And when we talked with Public Works, those were in existence and being utilized, and they didn't want to get rid of those. So when the setbacks were decreased, some of it was because since we've got to do all of the lots, we had some easements in the rear. And so it's part of our lot. We're not going to be able to use it, but it changed the setback was because of some existing easements. So when you're bounded by the street that's existing, the pond, we're trying to work within the confines. So I believe there were some code changes between 20 years ago and now that changed lot sizes and setbacks versus how it was actually built. And so to go in and say, hey, we don't care about that, let's rip everything out and start all over. Well, now we're going to be into an expensive project that instead of a house starting at a base price point, the house is going to start at a base price point plus another $100,000 or whatever that number may be. So we are trying to be good stewards of the land and for Titusville and the residents of Titusville and get something a little more affordable here that the residents can hopefully move into.
Do you live here in Titusville?
I used to, and I still have property here.
Okay. And then would you guys be willing to, I'm still, would love to table it because we need more information, but I'm going to ask you, would you be willing to reduce some of the lots so that you could provide additional parking, not grass parking?
I don't think at this step we can look at it. I don't know that the owner is going to be in favor of that because, you know, we have been in this for 2 years. We have met all of the code. I'm certain as long as I only want to speak from an engineering perspective, not at the ACC, but if we can do double parking spaces, even if they're grass, on some of the units, because I've had a townhome too where, yes, it was a single garage, but we were able to get a wider driveway in there, and so that you could still fit 2 cars in front of the garage. So as long as if staff will allow us to do something maybe a little more creative, I don't have any issues with grass parking spaces. So if we can do that to add some more parking spaces, then we can certainly explore that.
Is this an HOA community?
It will be.
Okay.
Member Stokel?
Yes. I can only speak for myself here, but I would be more in favor of the more expensive homes to have more green space and less units. And I appreciate you saying affordable housing, but I think that's a buzzword for the entire state right now. And I'm still waiting, and we're trying to get a grant as staff to see where our numbers compare to the surrounding areas, because we traditionally in Titusville have had low home values. And because of that, our millage rate has had to be higher. And so one of my goals has been to actually have some homes that come into the area that will help to increase our tax base so we can kind of be more even with some of our surrounding communities. So I feel like there are some cities that, you know, don't have affordable housing, but I feel like when we look at our counterparts, actually have more than a lot of the surrounding communities. So that's not something for me personally, when I see it being proposed, like I would like to see something else.
Something else like single family or
just, yeah, something where I know that the residents can park, that I know that there's probably additional green space, that it's just more compatible. We have been, I grew up here, so we have traditionally been fighting to lower our millage rate to actually have, I'm so tired of people working at the Space Center and then getting on the highway, going to Orlando or going to Vieira and not staying here. And so that has been my biggest fight since I've been on council. And it's like, every time I see affordable housing, home values have skyrocketed, and I can blame a whole host of issues. So I would just like to throw that out there as
I
my
will
perspective.
say, and I appreciate that. I don't think next to a McDonald's and an O'Reilly's is a good place to have single-family homes. This is transitional between that now personally, I'd love to live right next to McDonald's. I eat there way too much. But the zoning needs to be transitional. So you really need between that heavy commercial and the residential
fair.
behind us. Yeah, we need
That's fair.
townhome or, mhm.
But with that, again, being able
Other
to
than that, I would
have
agree.
parking and yes, just being able to have a livable space.
Yeah, and I will say, if we look at adding some additional parking spaces, that won't affect the plat, which is, you're looking at a preliminary plat right now, since it'll stay in common area, that won't affect the plat. The plat will still look the same, because it'll be common area. You'll just have some parking spaces in the common area. So just that on a side note, it won't change the way the plat looks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
City Clerk?
James Troutman.
James Troutman, 1705 Barnett Avenue. Thank you for your time. We did see this before planning and zoning. Actually, Member Garrard had brought this up, the Hammerhead turnaround. This was something that I was unfamiliar with, like you're unfamiliar with certain things, and then I've looked back into what this is. And to me personally, this is a very protected thing for our community, our citizens, our first responders. At any point, what I'm worried about is the Hammerhead part of it, because I didn't know what that was during the planning and zoning. I was actually going to rescind my vote to a no vote, but talking to the assistant attorney, it was easier to come here and speak for my 3 minutes and give my explanation of the Hammerhead than go back through rescinding and bringing it before us again and all this. I didn't know what all that process was. I'm still learning that. For this, though, I don't think a human life has a value. I don't care if a lot gets taken out or not. We're talking time. Any first responder is going to tell you seconds matter. I believe the issue was that this is 150-foot length, and at a minimum, I think they're at 148 feet. So at 150 feet is what the requirement is, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that will say now we need to have a Hammerhead put in here, right? So we're talking about 2 feet of difference here of why yes or no, a Hammerhead or not. I think that we can do better. I'll leave it at that. That was what I wanted to come and bring in about the Hammerhead situation and why that was asked. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. City Clerk?
The last card is Casey Nog.
Casey Nog, Maryland Avenue, Titusville Tree Team. Christian Court's 7-acre site was previously cleared, leaving very few trees. The preliminary plat shows several small tracts labeled C through M scattered between the townhomes, totaling 1.71 acres, almost 25% of the development area. These cleared tracts are designated open space, owned and maintained by the HOA, and should be planted with canopy trees per the tree protection ordinance. Per staff, the 2005 final plat is null and void. Therefore, I understand Christian Court townhomes should be subject to the 2021 tree protection ordinance canopy requirements for residential subdivisions, which includes townhomes per council September 28, 2021. And if you don't believe me, I have the minutes for that, wherein they do say that townhomes would be included in the tree protection ordinance. The tree protection ordinance stipulates for residential subdivisions a total canopy area of 25% of development area of residential subdivisions and a minimum preserved canopy area of 15%. There is no preserved canopy on this property per the tree protection ordinance. In the event there is insufficient preserved canopy area to meet the required minimum preserved canopy area, the applicant shall be required to plant additional trees to meet the total tree canopy area. Christian Court's landscape plan, therefore, will need to include planting canopy trees in the 1.7 acres of open space, track C through M, to meet the requirements of the tree protection ordinance. Planting native trees would greatly reduce water consumption. I believe they got a variance for water consumption, so that's one of the things you need to think about. Perhaps council might make a condition of approval of the preliminary plat that it states the development will comply with the tree ordinance by planting canopies, trees in track C through M, and you might actually ask them to plant native trees so as to reduce water consumption. Tree tracks scattered among the townhomes would certainly beautify this highly dense townhome subdivision. As the trees grow, they will shade and cool the complex, benefiting the many residents of the 72 townhome units. If at all possible, please see if you can't reduce the number of units. That's a lot of people crammed in that little place. No room for their cars, no room for anything. Get the trees and get some parking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kay. City Clerk? No more cars. All right. Any further discussion from this board? Vice Mayor Cole?
I just want to ask the city attorney one more time. If we did not approve this, we still have to not approve it with specifics that the property or the plat does not meet the code.
The answer remains the same. Yes, you would have to put on the record as to the reasoning why it's being denied.
Okay, right now, in looking at it, I think it meets the code. Brad, somebody help me. I mean, there are certain regulations we have to abide by, and I think that might be one of them. I mean, if we have an actual code problem here, we can disapprove it, right? But if we don't have a code problem, we really kind of can't, right?
I can't tell you what you can't do. My
If I may, Brad, maybe
Yeah.
advise regarding staff's recommendation as to why the support for staff's recommendation maybe would be helpful for the council.
In our review of the code, I mean, there's a lot that we review. There's a lot of development standards inside the code. Setbacks is just one of them. Engineering, all of that goes into play. The dimensions of the road, the access, number of access points, everything, the open space requirements, whatever that might be, the landscaping. Lighting, there's a lot. So when we look, our site review team looks at the site plan and this preliminary plat, and in this particular case, the preliminary plat was what was required to be brought before you, basically the layout. We believe that the preliminary plat is consistent with the requirements of the code, and that is our recommendation. The site plan is a separate document. It does support us in our review of a preliminary plat, but it doesn't. It's a separate review, basically. So that's the engineering. That is an administrative process. You do have on your addendum of your agenda some excerpts of that full site plan. So our recommendation is that we believe it is consistent with the city's code and with the city's comprehensive plan and all the criteria of the preliminary plat, and we recommend approval.
All right, before anybody else jumps in, it's 10:27.
Move to extend the meeting to 11 o'clock.
Second.
Could you have made it 10:45?
I thought about it.
All right, I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Member Nelson, you have the floor.
Question, Brad, will they have to comply with the tree ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. And were they okay with the idea of the hammerhead parking space?
They were not in support of it. We reviewed the proposal. They gave us an illustration of what it would look like. We did review that, run that by the site review team, including the fire department, and ran that recommendation from P&Z by the staff, and we didn't see a need for it.
Okay, did the fire department think there was a need for it?
Fire department was satisfied with the illustration you see on the addendum with the turnaround at the end there now. What the P&Z was asking for was something much more substantial,
Okay,
which would take out several units.
okay.
And the fire department didn't see a need for that.
Just to clarify, I'm sorry, I'm probably out of turn. What you have there existing, and sorry, we don't have an illustration, is you basically already have a hammerhead / T-turn existing already. So then to put another one in is the NFPA, I think we have about 130 feet to the end, and NFPA is 150 feet that they can back up. But the way it exists right now is a hammerhead. So then P&Z was asking us to put in another hammerhead, which was, at the end of the day, people will just park there. It wouldn't serve any purpose, but people would just park there. And, so we looked at that, and it was like a hammerhead on top of a hammerhead. So it was also a little weird. But just so you know, the way the configuration is now is, some people call it a T-turn, some people call it a hammerhead, but that's what's there right now.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Member Stokel?
Yes, question for staff. What changes were made because this is in the area of critical concern?
Changes as far as what they had to get in order to deviate from the standards of the code?
Yeah, since it's in the area of critical concern, it has certain standards. So what did we implement to make sure that we're protected because it's in the area of critical concern?
So they got a little benefit in this particular parcel because it was created out of a much larger plat that had to adhere to the 40% requirement. But this parcel right here received more than 20 years ago, probably 25 years ago, a variance to exceed that to go up to 50%, provided this parcel, in conjunction with all the surrounding parcels that were part of that original plat, do not cumulatively exceed 40%. So when this project was submitted to us, said, okay, you've got the benefit of 50% just for your parcel, but we're going to calculate all the other parcels to see what they have and what they're allowed to have. And then if they've exceeded it, if they've eaten into your amount, then you have to reduce your impervious. We didn't see that issue when we did our final calculation. We went through the plans of each of these projects all around there to come up with a determination, and we determined they were able to utilize that original variance for that plat, which was tied to the original plat of 50% for this parcel. They provided the existing, so we have the existing road, the existing round cul-de-sac there, the building pads. All of that calculates towards that maximum impervious coverage. And so all of that right there, they demonstrated they do not exceed that 50%. So this project includes that, that maximum threshold, or right up to that maximum threshold, plus everything else that's necessary in order to provide services to a platted subdivision with the stormwater system, the perimeter buffers, the landscaping, the lighting, the required parking per unit, and then the dimensions of each parcel or lot, rather, townhome lot, which has a minimum requirement dimension per the R3 zoning district. I believe they asked for a variance, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a variance to exceed the 50% for building coverage of the townhome lot, not the development. So the green spaces you see in between these lots is common area. It's just that the townhome lots themselves are a little bit smaller, only because the building is a little bit bigger. So that's one example of a variance that was granted in this particular case. And then I believe there was a variance to allow certain drainage features inside perimeter buffers, which was a new criteria, actually, a new standard that was put in place just a few years ago. Your question. I know there's a lot more to this, but.
I think so.
Member Moscoso?
Brad, can you see anywhere in our code where this does not conform? I know sometimes you'll give us things, and I've often seen things that are not put in there. So I'm going to ask you on the record, is there anything in our code where you feel this doesn't conform to it?
I believe the staff goes through a review of this until there are no more comments to make. And when there are no more comments to make stating, you're in conflict with this section of the code, you're in conflict with that, here, correct it here. When we run out of comments, we've essentially have an approved project.
But normally we get in a project, we get that, like it'll say all of those questions. I know this is not a rezoning, but we'll kind of get, this was the part of it, this is how they complied, this is this question, this is how they complied, and we don't have any of that here either.
No, you don't have a staff report in the same format as a rezoning, no.
So
Because that's
you're
different.
saying you think 100%, not I believe, 100% this goes with our code?
We wouldn't bring this before you if we didn't believe it was consistent with the code.
And you don't see any future issues? Like you also approved Brookshire, correct?
I believe that was approved according to the code. Now, it may be an issue that was brought up earlier about a one-time 500-year event that I don't think anybody could really design for. But yeah, that was a particular case that I don't think they could have even anticipated. So this particular project is meeting the minimum requirements of the stormwater and drainage requirements of the state and our local code.
So everything?
But our code, yes, ma'am.
Member Nelson.
Okay. I will tell you, I'm not totally happy with the project. On the other hand, I recognize that it complies with the code, and we don't have a legal basis to deny it. So I would move to approve the preliminary plat with a condition that you guys work with staff to provide additional parking.
There's a motion.
Second.
All right, there's a motion on the floor, and there's a second. Any further discussion?
May I ask for clarification? Is there a threshold?
For the parking,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't put a threshold, additional parking.
Okay.
Work with staff to provide additional parking.
Member Stokel?
Yes, I think I would be more in favor of tabling it just so I can talk with staff a little bit more and our attorney just to see what options are. If we do in fact have to do it, I mean, there's nothing we can do, but I think to what Member Moscoso said, if we have to do it, at least I want to feel confident that I've tried all avenues. And I do feel like this is a very complex agenda item with different components to it. So I know it's not favorable and I don't really like tabling, but that's what I would want to do.
All right, thank you. Member Moscoso?
I would agree with Member Stokel. I think there's no harm in giving us 2 weeks to just make sure that we're making the right decision.
Well, the motion is not to table. The motion is to approve with the conditions that the applicant work with parking. So that is the vote that will be called. City Clerk?
Was there a second?
Yeah, Herman seconded.
Yes. Mayor Connors,
No.
Vice Mayor Cole. Yes. Member Stokel,
No.
Member Moscoso,
No.
and Member Nelson.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay. Then the motion would be to table this until the meeting on February 10th.
Please amend your motion. Pick a different date.
Pick a different day.
Pick a different day.
I thought it was the 10th.
Do not pick the 10th.
Do not pick the 10th. 2/24.
All right, there's a motion and a second to table this item to 2/24. City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Cole. Yes. Member Stokel,
Yes.
Member Moscoso,
Yes.
Member Nelson. Yes. Mayor Connors.
Yes. Thank you very much.
May I ask what's the 10th?
Another rezoning coming up?
That you don't want to be here.
No.
Thank you. What was going to pass 10? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
If we're lucky. City Clerk, did you have your light on for a reason?
Yes, sir. I'll just
Okay, I was just making sure you didn't need me. City Manager?
On to petitions and requests.
All right, we're on petitions, requests, non-agenda items. not seeing any on the mayor and council reports. I'm gonna pretty much punt because I think we've all had enough fun for one night. But obviously, we went to Tallahassee. I think we did some good work, and I think we can elaborate maybe a little bit later. At the same time, I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but feel pretty good about some of the things that we're working on up there. Vice Mayor Cole.
I know we're getting late, but I just want to give a shout out to the only shelter that we have in Titusville is Life Ministries. I've been working with the pastor. So far, we've been able to raise, this has nothing to do with the city, okay? This is me personally, about $13,000. I was there today, and the number of people he was serving was tremendous. And he'll turn it in tonight for 70 beds. And with the temperature the way it is and the way it's going to stay for a while after Saturday, whatever help you can give is good. The problem that he has is if you give food or clothing, he has no place to store it. So we're trying to work with him and see if we can get something resolved. We've also been getting complaints from neighbors of the people out there are not treating the property properly. I'll leave it at that. But the work that he's doing there at Life Ministries is just outstanding. And no matter what you think about the unhoused people, they're still human beings.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Member Moscoso.
Yeah, I just had one question. I noticed that the school cameras were going up today. And do you know when that campaign's going to roll out?
I've been informed by Matt Demon that they're going to be putting out a public service announcement here real soon and putting it on social media, but I don't have the exact date that they become active, but they are installing them now. And I would anticipate the next few weeks they'll start that warning program.
Yeah,
We'll get the word out ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to get that information out so as
Yep,
soon as possible.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And don't forget, we also negotiated a 60-day grace period for the part of the public awareness campaign. So we got a campaign pre, campaign post. Member Stokel.
Okay, yeah, on that, depending on when they go up, if it's like later in the semester, we might want to look at doing that grace period in August when kids go back to school. So I just want to put that out there. And then I'm not going to go into the Tallahassee visit right now because there's a lot. But just to be aware, property taxes is still a big discussion there, and a lot of them cannot agree on what a proposed solution is. So we're still watching that one. Senate Bill 180, they're working on changes. What was interesting, I will say, and this was my big takeaway, Senate side seems to be very thoughtful and trying to do what's right. They have a lot of experience they see. And so they filed a great bill to fix Senate Bill 180. The House side has not. And so that's kind of, just so you guys know, that's the angle I'm working on right now, is to see if we can do anything in the House side. Things move very, very quickly there, and there's a lot going on. So that's happened. Same thing with sovereign immunity. Senate has proposed a very good rollout of, raising it a little bit, understanding inflation. House side completely off. I don't know. So it's very difficult trying to get them to sometimes work together. So just know that I will give these two cards to Member Nelson and Member Cole that were not there, so you can see kind of what the league is working on. And then I think that's all I have for right now, unless anybody else had anything.
So just the same for property taxes. The House has like 4 or 5 bills filed. They're kind of running very quickly. The governor has his position, and the Senate hasn't even thought about it. So they're kind of waiting to see what the House does. So we'll see if anything gets passed, but no sense of worrying until it happens. Member Nelson?
I want to say thank you, Mayor, for doing the proclamation to Kay St. Ange.
My pleasure.
And the tree team. Christine helped Tony Schifolo and I write it. She's brilliant. She did a great job. Tony and I, we did good. Christine did great. But I also got a call from my cousin who lives on Mary Lane. And her house flooded along with some of the other houses in the neighborhood. So apparently, when we said we wanted a stormwater master plan, the fix for that neighborhood went off the list of projects for this year. So what is said to me was when we come up with ideas, we really need to run it through staff and our city manager to make sure that we're not bumping something that we don't mean to bump.
I have a question about that. According to the city manager, there's no money to fund a stormwater master plan in this fiscal year. And it wasn't even programmed to be funded out of the stormwater fund until FY '27. So how could that bump that?
I think they were looking at, could they do it this year by finding money and bumping a project? So,
Kevin,
am I right?
Was there a project plan for Mary Lane? Because that ditch is privately owned. It's not owned by the city.
It's not on the stormwater list for this year. It's for Mary Lane and I believe Heritage Drive were bumped to next year.
Right.
Right. But to answer your first question regarding the funding for the stormwater plan, we don't have the money in this fiscal year. However, I've asked our finance director to see if we can take a loan out from another fund like we've done in the past
Okay.
and actually get it done at
My
mid-year for
apologies.
approval. And
'Cause
we've
I
done
was
that
at-
in the past, so we would borrow money from the general fund and then next year
Pay
we
it
would
back.
pay it back.
Okay.
So we'll do that at mid-year
I
here
apologize.
we'll do that at mid-year when we do all the financial true-ups.
I was just sort of made me sit down and think, when we come up with ideas, we need to make sure that we run it through city manager, staff, and if it's not something that's in our budget, we need to figure out where it's coming from and make sure that we're not harming some of our citizens. We just need to be careful. So, and since this is my cousin, I think you went over to her house.
I went inside her house.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, and the other thing I was going to ask about is nanobubbles.
Nanobubbles, they're fully mobilized. They're still doing the pre-monitoring, and it goes live on February 12th. And we have a media event scheduled after it's been operating for a few weeks on March 3rd. And we're hoping that it's successful. But nanobubbles will be bubbling here pretty soon.
Thank you.
Can I add one more comment, Mayor?
Yeah.
I got this also in my board of directors meeting. One of a hard copy is being mailed to the city, and then this is also available digitally. They just updated it. Extremely useful if you're newly elected, but also if you're not, it goes over the basics, elements of municipal government, policymaking process, public safety, public services, growth management, and it also references specific state statutes and how things have progressed over time. So I've already kind of glanced through it, but I would encourage you all to either look at this digitally or look at the copy when it gets mailed to the city, but highly recommend.
Thank you, Member Stokel. City Manager, your report.
Just real quick, February 7th is a community conversation at the Saturday morning, hoping to get a good turnout from the citizens. And March 7th is our our inaugural community mini academy, for lack of a better term, and that's also, it's going to be a great event.
Thank you very much, City Attorney. All right, thank you very much. Member Nelson,
Motion to adjourn.
we're adjourned.